I loved Aquaman. Aquaman was awesome. Momoa is a megastar. The special effects were solid. The story was solid. Acting was as good as you can expect from a superhero movie. Supporting cast was good. It had a lot of heart. It had a lot of emotion. It had payoffs. I had a lot of fun with the movie. I thought it was great.
This was a lot of fun. I had a blast with this movie. It's not perfect, but I mean, like, just do something with it. And he's like, yeah, cool, I want to make Lord of the Rings. So that's what he did.
And my God, it is
non-stop, in-your-face action.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
It is an epic spectacle. This knows how to have fun. They didn't screw it up.
And pure enjoyment and fun that I couldn't help but smile through most of Aquaman. I think this is a really entertaining movie, and I am very surprised to say that.
It's precisely because it's so damn zany, unafraid to embrace its comic bookiness, and is just plain out there, that Aquaman is a blast.
And that brings me to a point. This movie is really entertaining. A lot of fun, but it's also a lot. Just period. It's just a lot.
Have you ever loved or hated something and then saw that seemingly the entire rest of the world has the exact opposite opinion as you? And have you ever looked at those people and have the thought of, wow, you're all so fucking wrong?
No!
Well, fortunately for those of you that didn't waste your time and money and a fraction of your soul watching Aquaman, and unfortunately for me who had to suffer through this movie 3 times to bring you this video, that's exactly what I've been experiencing since watching this terrible pile of cinematic filth. To put this into perspective, this is very much akin to what I've seen from fans after first watching The Force Awakens. A terrible movie that people really liked because none of them actually thought about any of it. If you're wondering about that, go watch Mahler's videos about The Force Awakens. If you have nothing to do with your entire day, well, there you go. Aquaman is an ugly, badly written, inconsistent, logically retarded, incoherent mess from start to finish. But because it appears to be better than shit like Justice League and BVS,
why did you say that name?
Fans of the DCEU and even people outside of that sphere have actually tricked themselves into thinking that this garbage is unironically good. And before I have every idiot fan of the DCEU instantly accuse me of being a Marvel fanboy, since that's apparently the only criticism they're capable of levying against the opposition to their opinions, allow me to draw your attention to all the Marvel videos I've made. Thor Ragnarok is kind of bad. Why I don't like Marvel movies. Black Panther, the most overrated Marvel movie ever. And finally, so Infinity War was actually awesome. So out of 4 Marvel-related videos I've made, only 1 was positive, and I dedicated a good chunk of that video to talking about shit I didn't like. I made a video about why I generally don't like Marvel films, so you don't get to use the "Durr, you're a Marvel fanboy" excuse. Of all the clips I showed at the beginning, I have watched all of those videos in desperate search for a single argument as to why this movie isn't as awful as I think it is. Not a single one of them was convincing. In the case of Geeks and Gamers, it's actually kind of depressing because he couldn't put forth one single cogent argument. He also thinks the DCEU hasn't looked better when the best fucking movie they made was like a 5 out of 10 at best, and the rest are so fucking awful it's actually kind of impressive. Then he put up another video, which in fairness is made by somebody else, but given that it's on his channel, I think it's safe to say he endorses, or at the very least agrees to some extent with this sentiment. The video is a bit rambly, but the general idea is this. The critics gave the movie low ratings, the audience gave it high ratings, the movie made a lot of money, so the critics can go fuck themselves. While I'm generally inclined to agree with the whole critics can go fuck themselves part just on principle because most critics don't know what the fuck they're saying, this is a monstrously bad argument. Yeah, the movie made money, so did The Last Jedi, and we all know how bad of a fucking movie that was. We also know that audiences, while generally having better opinions on films than your pseudo-intellectual film critics do, are not immune to being idiots themselves. Though it may sound like it, I'm not necessarily hating on Geeks and Gamers. I don't have anything against him personally, I'm just more saddened by the fact that he has such solid takes on Star Wars. Takes that I agree with at least 80% of the time. Yet with Aquaman, he seems to have a total blind spot, as if his standard for quality writing only only applies to one thing rather than all things. And in further fairness, this is not just a geeks and gamers thing. Everyone that gave this movie a positive review has pretty bad arguments for it. And that's assuming that they have arguments at all, which most of them don't. Now, Aquaman is probably on par with Wonder Woman in the not so terrible I want to kill myself section of the DCEU. It's pretty hard to compare to Justice League and BVS. And no, the Snyder Cut wouldn't have been better. Search your feelings, Actually, no, that's a bad argument. The only people that like these movies are going entirely based off of their feelings. Well, unfortunately for fans of this movie or the DCEU as a whole, I go by facts, and this is my judgment. Aquaman is one of the worst films to come out in 2018, which in fairness isn't actually a high bar since the vast majority of films to come out in 2018 have been nothing more than pure dog shit. I can count on one hand how many movies I actually enjoyed in 2018, 3 of which were Tommy Wiseau films. It's pretty sad. The movie begins quite abruptly in the midst of a rainstorm with Jason Momoa reading off a Jules Verne quote. You may know Jules Verne is the author of A Journey to the Center of the Earth. Keep this in mind, they rape Jules Verne in this movie. We zoom in on a very hunky fellow who happens to see a woman who washed up on the shore near his house. This woman has a wound in her side and isn't breathing, so he does the sensible thing and carries her up to his house and lays her on a table so he might be able to help. This is sadly the last time he makes a decision that makes any kind of logical sense. All the while, she's still tightly gripping her trident despite being unconscious and supposedly drowned. The power goes out almost immediately and she coughs up water. Keep this in mind, I'm not done with it yet. She panics and tries to assault him, then the power comes back and she throws her trident at the TV and kills it. After that, she passes back out. The next day, she wakes up and has a disturbing staring competition with the man's dog. Then she decides to eat his goldfish, to which he jokes that he was just going to make her eggs. I guess this is supposed to be funny because of the whole fish out of water scenario, which I'm sure the wording of that phrase alone is a big knee slapper for DCEU fans in the context of this piece of shit movie. If you haven't caught on yet, these are Aquaman's parents, and we'll be subjected to dealing with them for a big chunk of the film. We're meant to believe that they have a very beautiful, loving relationship that brings Aqua Buddy into the world. Allow me to destroy that for you. This woman says her name is Queen Atlanta from Atlantis. As you can see, the originality for the naming in this movie is through the fucking roof. He jokes that he's just some guy who keeps guard over the lighthouse. Now yes, I understand that she explains who she is and where she's from, but let's put this into the context of the real world, which she has just entered. Nobody believes in Atlantis at this point, much less in people who breathe underwater. This man both has no reason to believe anything she says is true or believe that she's even mentally stable. So, from the perspective of any normal person, he just found a mentally deranged woman who washed up on shore with a deadly wound and she's half drowned. She tries to kill him with a trident and the next day eats his goldfish. Afterward, she claims to be from an underwater kingdom called Atlantis and says that she can breathe underwater. And she was forced into a marriage that she's trying to escape from and got injured when the king's men tried to take her back. Given this ludicrous information, would you A, call the cops, B, take her to a hospital, or C, support her delusions, keep her isolated in your lighthouse, marry her, and impregnate her? If you chose C, then
Stop it. Get some help.
This is actually slightly disturbing because for all he knows, she's just some crazy mental patient who has delusions about being an Atlantean. He takes advantage of those delusions and is like, well, she's hot, so...
That's called love, you idiot.
Also, fuck you for dragging Lovecraft's name through the mud with this awful movie. But despite that, wouldn't The Call of Cthulhu be a more apt story to put on display than the Dunwich horror? Not that it's a bad story, but I think Cthulhu would be a little bit more appropriate given the setting, but whatever. Anyway, they have a child and name it Arthur because of Hurricane Arthur. Atlanta points this out and the dad's like, nah, I meant King Arthur. What the fuck? No, you were clearly inspired by the hurricane. You reacted to the name Hurricane Arthur as soon as it was said on screen.
Hurricane Arthur is due to make landfall sometime after 2 p.m.
How about Arthur?
After the hurricane?
Did you really just pull the king thing out of your ass and expect everyone to roll with it? And Jesus, how bad of a reason for naming your kid is that? Yes, let's name our poor innocent child after a destructive natural disaster. Setting aside how strange it is that you didn't name your kid immediately after birth like, well, everyone else. That would be like naming a kid born in Colorado Columbine. What? I was talking about the flower. What were you thinking, you sick fucks? So one day, when little Arthur is like 3 years old, the house just randomly explodes. Twice! Keep this in mind, this happens like multiple times and it never stops being funny. In fact, we're gonna play a little game. Count all the random explosions. So some evil royal Power Rangers come to take Atlanta back to Atlantis. Why did it take them several years to do this? I have absolutely no idea. What if this wasn't the right place? How did you figure out that this was the right place? The movie makes no attempt to explain it whatsoever. So in a ridiculous, overly sped up action scene, Atlanta kills all the Power Rangers, but then she has to go away forever or they'll find Arthur. Pretty sure they were already aware of his existence at that point, and they're definitely aware of it later in the film. So I'm not really sure why it's relevant that she needs to protect him by leaving forever if they already know about him anyway. If it's about contesting the throne, then why not just kill him now when nobody can defend him? If it's not, then why bother worrying about it unless a certain special someone just happens to do something evil that prompts Arthur into doing something the rest of Atlantis doesn't like? Like, say, overthrowing the ruling class and becoming the new king. that would never happen. Anyway, we flash forward a few years and Arthur goes to an aquarium with his school. He starts randomly talking to the fish for no reason, and some bullies are like, "Hey Arthur, you done being a fucking faggot yet?" This pisses off the fish for some reason, and a shark starts bashing its face against the glass. Now, something about this seemed very much off to me. I will admit, I am no expert on sharks, and I could totally be wrong about this, but this looks a lot like a great white shark. The only thing that puts it off a bit is that there's a second pretty large dorsal fin near the end of its tail, which I could find no images of in relation to great white sharks. Yet of every shark I could find that's actually in aquariums, none of them looked like this. This just looks like a CGI great white shark, but with a significantly larger second dorsal fin. Now, anyone who has ever been to an aquarium has probably asked the question of, why are there no great white sharks here? That would be because when put in captivity, great white sharks go through a depression stage and start cutting themselves. It takes all of 5 seconds to Google, why are great white sharks not in aquariums, and then you find out, oh, they always die of depression when they're in there. Yet right here we have a very great white shark-looking shark bashing its face against the glass to stop the bullies. Did they honestly do so little research that they couldn't be fucked to figure out that they can't survive in aquariums? Or did they put a larger second dorsal fin on it to avoid criticism in that regard? If that's the case, then why didn't they just get a different shark to do this? There are sharks in aquariums, just not great white. Or hell, all the fish swarm around him anyway, so why not just do that since it would have virtually the exact same effect without the totally unnecessary destruction? Again, I am totally willing to admit that I am probably wrong on this, but am I alone in thinking that this just looks like a great white shark but with a larger second dorsal fin? Well, it's pretty much just to have this total knockoff of the moment from Harry Potter when he talks to the snake and accidentally makes his fat retarded cousin fall through the glass. Only for some totally inexplicable reason, he raises his hand and makes the water vibrate and indicates he can talk to the fish. How did he figure out he can do this? I have no goddamn clue, and the movie never explains it. In fact, he's the only Atlantean who can talk to fish. Why? Well, the movie doesn't explain it at all. Then he turns around and dramatically opens his eyes and they're yellow now. Why? Who the hell knows? The movie sure as shit doesn't. Keep this in mind, I'm not done with it yet. Well, with that fever dream of a prologue finally over, we flash forward to the present day where we see a gun waving randomly and then we see a bunch of dead dudes on a submarine. Turns out that the African mafia or something just managed to steal a high-tech experimental water shuttle thingy that the movie kind of gives a hand-wave explanation for. Why are these random black men just hijacking a submarine? No idea, they just are. This may seem like a strange thing to harp on, but this is literally discussing one of the main recurring villains' motivations and backstory here. If I can't even figure out what they're doing and why, then how am I supposed to care about him? What's the point of taking this sub? What's the goal here? Why do they seem so angry at the captain just before impaling him as though there's some implied history here that we never get any information on? So the dad gives his son his grandpa's knife because he did such a fucking knockout great job murdering and stealing from perfectly innocent people. And then he goes into the backstory of this knife and says that his grandpa was so good at stabbing a bitch that people started calling him Manta. Keep that in mind, I'm not done with it yet. Then Aquaman shows up and punches the submarine and we have this beautiful little line.
Just hit something. No. Something hit us.
How would you even know that? You're in a hallway with no windows. You just mow down half the sub's crew for no reason and then stab the captain with a stupid X-Men Origins Wolverine Deadpool blade thing. How would you know if something hit you or if you hit something? You can't see anything. And before you try and use this as an excuse, because you can't, the guy monitoring the cameras doesn't get back to them until after he says that line. It's just one of those nonsensical quotes meant to sound ominous or exciting, even if it makes no logical sense. So Aquaman throws the sub to the surface and breaks in and starts beating everyone up. After having some weird porno-quality entrance, he frees the Russian crew that knows who he is for some reason and helps them escape the sub. Not sure why they do that given that the sub is still in one piece and otherwise perfectly operational. I guess Aquaman was just expecting the sub to sink with his see into the future powers. Aquaman fights the bad black man and his dad in the torpedo bay of all places and takes a grenade launcher to the face. This doesn't kill him, neither did the bullets from the rest of the pirates before, which kinda begs the question of why he bothered blocking them if they have no effect on him in the first place. Shut up, Wolf, I'm having fun, it doesn't matter if none of it makes sense. Well, sorry, but I live in a world that abides by simple logic in this movie and the people who like it do not. How do I know this? What authority do I have to make this claim? Simple. Who the hell brings a grenade launcher on a submarine? Sure, it's an attachment to his rifle like this is Call of Duty. Bringing it is one thing, using it is another. So let me amend my question. Who the hell fires a grenade launcher on a submarine? And on top of that, in the fucking torpedo bay? Need I even explain why this is the worst idea anyone has ever had? Anyway, Aquaman beats up everyone and impales the dad, and he makes this hilarious scream. Then Aquaman looks around and he's like, "You're a black guy. And you're a black guy. You guys must be father and son." Oh, that's such deep thinking, Aquaman. I'm sure you're very proud of yourself for figuring that one out. So he unimpales him and starts climbing back up, and the dad's like, "I hate you, Aquaman." And he shoots the grenade launcher at the wall, and it starts to flood, and the blast knocks one of the torpedoes on him, and he screams again. God, this movie's funny. So the young black man asks Aquaman for help, and Aquaman's like, why the fuck would I do that? And he leaves, like anyone else would. Then the dad tells his son to leave because he's gotta kill Aquaman. And then he holds up some random detonator and starts the countdown. So the son runs away and the dad blows himself up. So again, I'm forced to ask, what the fuck is happening here? This detonator and whatever it was linked to was never mentioned or alluded to since the scene began. Were you trying to blow up the sub? If so, why? Also, if so, why would you bother going in the sub when you can just put the fucking C4 on the outside, swim away, and then blow it up that way? And there you go, you don't even have to waste bullets or men. And if that wasn't what you were doing, then why do you have the detonator? What's the detonator linked to? Is it C4? Because I've scrutinized the hell out of this guy and saw no C4 on him. Was he wearing an explosive vest? If so, why? If not, then what the fuck was it connected to? Was the detonator an explosive itself? If so, what's the point of that? Seems really impractical to me. And as if it wasn't already obvious enough, you just lit off a sizable explosion in a torpedo bay. Half the submarine should have been obliterated by now, most definitely killing your son, but instead it just doesn't. It actually makes sense if you interpret this as the director doesn't understand how explosions work. The rest of the movie certainly makes that clear. Anyway, Aquaman drags the Russians back home and then he meets his dad in Maine. They go to a bar and get hammered and the dad asks if he needs a sippy cup. I'm not really sure why. Then a bunch of evil bikers want to beat him up, but not really. One dude just has a pink cell phone and wants some selfies. Is the joke here that he's a faggot? Because otherwise I don't get it, and the sippy cup thing makes even less sense. Next we go somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. No, really, the movie actually says that verbatim. You can tell because it's listed under the Chinese text from the theater that I totally went to see this at. You know that thing that CinemaSins does where he criticizes every movie for having text explaining where the scene is at? Well, he's gonna have a fucking field day with this one. I'm not exaggerating when I say that almost every single scene in the entire movie comes with a title card telling you where the characters are at. There's one point where the title cards are only minutes apart from one another. So he goes to a secret underwater palace where we meet the main bad guy, a very Aryan man who believes in Atlantean supremacy, tight border control, and wants the illegal aliens to fuck off. A true fish boy hero. So the viewer starts giving us exposition about how he wants to make Atlantis great again. Hey, the acronym still works, what do you know? There's some environmentalist message going on that the movie kind of forgets about, but is basically the crux of this guy's feud with the surface. Basically, because we treat the oceans like shit, he wants to go to war. But to go to war, he needs the help of the mermaids and the crabs, and only under their consent can he be given the title of
Ocean Master.
Must I even present an argument for why the title Ocean Master is like the gayest goddamn thing I've ever heard? So this movie shows that there's like 5 kingdoms, right? There's the Atlantis Kingdom, there's the other Atlantis Kingdom, there's the Crab Kingdom, there's the Mermaid Kingdom, and there's the Reef Kingdom. But apparently there's 7 kingdoms, but that's never brought up once in the entire movie. Maybe there's some throwaway line saying something about the 7 kingdoms, but otherwise the other 2 kingdoms just aren't even fucking mentioned. And I don't know what the difference is between the first 2 Atlantean kingdoms since they look exactly the same. The only difference is that one has sharks with laser guns and the other has seahorses. And one of them shouldn't even fucking constitute as a kingdom because there's no fucking hierarchical rule there. At least none that the movie shows. Keep that in mind, I'm not done with it yet. Suddenly, for no reason whatsoever, they're attacked by a submarine with our 3rd random explosion.
His loyalty is to the...
They pretty easily dispatch it and get pissed off that it happened. I, however, wasn't pissed, but extremely confused. Who are these people? Why did they feel the need to waste resources attacking some random Atlanteans? Wouldn't that imply that they know who the Atlanteans are? If that's the case, then who are they and how do they know about this? What government sanctioned this attack? Can you imagine what that conversation must have been like on the bridge? Yes, Mr. President, we have people swimming around on giant seahorses and sharks with guns on them. Can we kill them all? What? This prompts the viewer to attack the surface with a worldwide tsunami. But first, remember the Black Pirate? Well, he's kind of just sitting around in the middle of the ocean doing fuck all when the Power Rangers find him and give him some payment. So, wait, the submission was for the Atlanteans? Why though? The Russians were happy to see Aquaman. Wouldn't they have a vested interest in not attacking Aquaman's people? If they were actually trying to attack the Atlanteans being the reason why the Atlanteans attack in the first place, why were they doing that and why would Aquaman give enough of a shit to help them? If not, then what the fuck did the Atlanteans want with the sub? Just to blow it up? And if that's the case, then why even hire these stupid incompetent pirates when the viewer just destroyed a sub single-handedly with no effort at all with a fucking fork? This movie doesn't make any sense. So yeah, the viewer unleashes a worldwide tsunami. That's not an exaggeration. The movie specifically says all coasts around the planet were affected by this. Before that though, Aquaman is leading his drunk dad to the truck and suddenly a red-haired woman appears and it is... Jacqueline Glenn? Well, at the very least, there's some eye candy in this movie. So Jacqueline Glenn knew all about Aquaman and knew exactly where to find him. How? No idea. Even if she knew that he was in Maine, wouldn't she have shown up at the lighthouse instead of the bar? How did she know he was specifically right here? Anyway, she tells Aquaman that the viewer wants to destroy the world and only he can stop it. She even says that he defeated Steppenwolf. Remember him from Justice League? You know, that hideous CGI monstrosity that looked eerily similar to the main villain in Warframe? Frankly, I don't remember Aquaman doing much of anything in that movie, so not sure why he's the one getting the credit for it. But thanks for viscerally reminding me of that train wreck of a film.
It doesn't need you. Tell me.
Despite this supposed feat, Aquaman, being the superhero he is, says, "Nah, bro," and he leaves. Yes, I totally root for this character. On the way back home, the tsunami strikes in the most bizarrely executed disaster scene I have ever witnessed. There's no sound effects for a good chunk of this until it hits their car, just this weird dreamlike music where the friend I was sitting next to in the theater literally turned to me and asked verbatim if this was a dream sequence. I can't believe I have to unironically refer to Roland Emmerich of all people, but seriously, as bad as his movies are, he can at least show things getting destroyed in an entertaining way. This is just weird. So the tsunami hits them and Jacqueline Glenn saves Aquaman's dad by sucking the water out of him. The next day, the news reports on it and some random Asian guy's like, "It's Atlantis!" And apparently this is just something he regularly does, because the other news anchors call him out on his conspiracy theory. He even cites that Aquaman is among us and he's an Atlantean. How the fuck does this one dude know about this exactly? Why is he the only one aside from the fucking Russians that know about this? It's not like he's made any attempt to remain discreet since he was first introduced. Batman found him easily enough and he was just fucking around in some random village in the middle of nowhere. What is happening in this awful fucking movie? So naturally, because his dad almost died, now Aquaman's got some personal vendetta trying desperately to disguise itself as the morally righteous thing to do for the greater good. Aquaman thus agrees to overthrow the underwater Reich. So he and Jacqueline Glenn climb atop a really tall cliff to jump off into the ocean. Why did they climb up this really tall cliff? You already established in the tsunami scene and the sub scene that Aquaman can swim super duper fast? Wouldn't it have been more efficient to just wait out by the shore and super speed to the crate? Nah, we just need the totally unnecessary spectacle. And really fucking weirdly, this turns into an out of nowhere training segment where Willem Dafoe shows up. Setting aside how utterly convenient it is that he just happened to train right here at this exact place in the exact same position. You know how Spider-Man Homecoming did the Spider-Man story without doing the backstory we've all seen numerous times already? Regardless of what you think of that film, that's how this should have gone. Yes, most people don't know and don't give half of a shit about Aquaman's backstory, but it is totally unnecessary to have these random bullshit training segments. This isn't an origin story, this is after Justice League. I know the DCEU is pretty much fucking cancer because it tried to replicate the MCU without understanding a lick of what makes the MCU successful in the fucking first place, but this is just pathetic. We don't need training segments for an already established character. This is padding. So they jump off the cliff and start to super speed through the water. How does Aquaman know how to do this? The movie doesn't explain, he just sees someone else do it and assumes he can do it too. It would be like if Luke saw Obi-Wan do the mind trick and then with no training or explanation at all did the same exact thing and it happened to work perfectly fine. It's not like Willem Dafoe actually explained how they do the super speedy thing. Willem even starts talking underwater and Aqua Kid is like, "Whoa, you can talk underwater! Hey! I can talk underwater too!" I'm not kidding, that is the exact quote.
Wait, you can talk underwater? Hey, I can talk underwater too!
Does this even bear explanation for why this is so poorly executed? Anyway, it also shows that his eyes get brighter in dark places. Still doesn't explain why his eyes are naturally gold and nobody else has that, nor from why they changed from brown to gold anyway. And even his fucking parents don't have eyes anywhere close to that. But who cares, it looks cool. Shut up, Wolf, I'm having fun. Don't you like having fun? So Aquaman and Jacqueline Glenn jump off the cliff and go to her hidden ship. She also remarks that Aquaman smells bad and he smells himself and agrees. Not sure how smelling yourself works underwater, but whatever, they can talk to each other underwater and that makes even less sense. So at this point I'm just starting to question why I'm even wasting my time talking about this shitty fucking movie. They soar off in the direction of Atlantis and in the distance there's a lightning storm? Why? How is there lightning underwater? Are we going by SpongeBob logic? So they go to Atlantis and there's a bridge. I just assumed it was there to create some semblance of order going in and out of the city. Of all the things they could explain that make no sense, this is apparently the thing that they thought we were all wondering about. This was the least of my fucking problems. So Jacqueline Glenn points out that there's giant cannons on top of the Great Wall of Atlantis, so getting in and out is impossible because the place is totally impenetrable. And yes, she does say the word impenetrable. Keep that in mind, I'm not done with it yet. So they go to a ship in the old city to be reunited with Willem Dafoe. Apparently they found this cylinder thingy that leads to the lost trident of the King Atlan of Atlantis. Were the writers just fucking retarded? You couldn't think of one better name? Also, why is Atlan the old king from like 1,000 years ago, but Atlanta was the most recent queen from like 20 years ago? Is the naming just so bad that they couldn't say Atlanta the 3 trillionth or whatever? In another brilliant display of exposition, we get the history of Atlantis. Apparently, it was so high-tech that it was pretty much better than we are now, back when everyone else thought the Earth was flat. Ha! Joke's on you, people still do think the Earth is flat. Anyway, Atlan wanted a super cool fork, so he made it in the Sahara. Keep that in mind, I'm not done with it yet. They tried experimenting on it for some unexplained reason, and it super nukes the city and everyone dies, but not everyone, because for some unexplained reason, it gave them the ability to breathe underwater, advance their technology significantly, turn some into humans, some into mermaids, some into crabs, and some into necromorphs. Only the true king can get the super trident, despite no king since him ever actually having managed to get it, which naturally means that Aquaman has to get it because that's the driving force of the plot at this point. Keep that in mind, I'm not done with it yet. So anyway, the Power Rangers attack because they know that they're there somehow. I don't get it. I assume they know he was here because he went through the customs and border control with Jacqueline. But in that case, if they were going to take him anyway, then why didn't they just stop him at the border? Yeah, she had fucking security clearance, whatever, but she still managed to get through and they still go after him. So wouldn't it be a little bit more important to just stop them at the border despite her security clearance, rather than to potentially let him fuck things up anyway? That's not even to mention how they knew that he specifically was in there. What, they have some fucking DNA scanner that goes goes through the ships. And if they knew that she was with him, then why didn't they start the search for her? Or at the very least arrest her after this scene rather than just keeping her here with the king when for all they knew she could be a legitimate threat to his safety? Wouldn't this be like conspiring with the enemy? You know, treason? So why is she just let off the hook for this? Anyway, Aquaman gets his ass kicked and he's taken to the viewer, who decides to spout some exposition for a while. Now get this, Aquaman's ankles, wrists, and neck are bound in chains, but instead of doing the halfway sensible thing like, I don't know, attaching the chains to the fucking floor, they're instead held by 5 random guys. Why would they ever think this is effective? It's not really. He like almost immediately reaches the king because they can't hold him. This is so fucking stupid, I can't even. So the viewer wants to go to war with the surface world. Well, I guess he never got the memo from the greatest president ever, George W. Bush.
I know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully.
Let me remind you, the only Atlanteans who can breathe air are people of royal blood, meaning like 30 people max. Keep that in mind, I'm not done with it yet. Aquaman obviously doesn't like the idea, so he challenges the viewer to a duel. In the armory, Willem Dafoe tells Aquaman he's a retard because he can't possibly win this fight. Given that there's still 2 hours left, anyone that thought this fight would result in a win is a fucking idiot. This results in yet another random training segment where this Taylor Lautner looking motherfucker trains with a trident. He's defeated when Willem Dafoe does this spinning shield thingy and says that he won't teach it to Aquaman until he's mastered the trident. Keep that in mind. I'm not done with it yet. So this results in Aquaman asking about his mom and why he can't see her because he thinks that she doesn't love him. Turns out that she got fucked, had a baby, that baby turned into the viewer, and then she was thrown into the trench, which is where all the necromorphs are. So she did. Keep that in mind, I'm not done with it yet. Also, never cast this Taylor Lautner faggot ever again because good God can he not act to save his life. It almost makes me respect Ray. Almost. So Willem Dafoe leads Aquaman to the Ring of Fire for the battle. Wait a minute. The Ring of Fire from Nemo? And there it is revealed that Jacqueline Glenn is actually in an arranged marriage with the viewer. So wait a minute, unnaturally red hair, artificially large tits, weird fashion sense, Data the douchebag? Holy shit, this is Jacqueline Glenn. For the battle, the viewer gives her a $20 pearl bracelet that looks super low quality, and I guess that's meant to impress her. But honestly, I'm more impressed by the fact that someone thought this fucking jellyfish dress was a good idea. So the viewer swims up and we find out that he really likes to scream. Can you spell overacting? Also, what's with these fucking parody level stat screens? Now, I know I've seen this drumming squid thing done before, but I can't remember if it was from Shark Tales or The Little Mermaid. And I can't honestly be fucked to watch either of those films to find out. Someone please tell me this hilariously stupid thing was done somewhere else and I'm not crazy. Anyway, so they fight and it goes pretty much as expected. It's a nice CGI spectacle that I'm pretty sure would look very impressive for a video game cutscene. But you can very clearly tell that all of this is fake, and fake fights really just take me out of it. Yes, I understand you can't physically do all of this, but couldn't you have at least put them in a green screen room and had actual fighting with a CGI backdrop? I don't even mind if you use some CGI for the bodies, but not all of it. You can even put cables on to twist them and throw them around and shit. It's not like similar shit hasn't been done before. Hell, if you're actually creative, you can make green screen sets that move around to simulate underwater movement, which you can later add into post with the necessary CGI. But having a really fake fight where you can't even think of a way to have 2 real characters do real shit is just fucking lame. Remember in The Lord of the Rings how they made sets with different levels and used creative camera angles to simulate the size difference between the hobbits, dwarves, elves, humans, and wizards? Remember the good old days when people actually gave a shit? Then we get this dramatic Willem Dafoe line about how this isn't a competition, it's an execution. As if fucking anybody thought otherwise. Anyway, the king obviously wins and then he does his weird screaming thing again. And then he gets sucked up in this whirlpool that takes all the water away. And then he starts coughing up water as though he was choking on it. Atlanta did this same thing too, and it makes no fucking sense. You're both of royal blood, meaning you can seamlessly breathe water and air, so why are you coughing up water, you cunts? So Jacqueline Glenn decided that she wanted to be a rebel girl and flies Aquaman away. They're chased through the city and the pursuers destroy a bunch of shit, which is just par for the course with the DCEU at this point. Also, can we stop with this strange obsession with just copying the Mass Effect soundtrack? It doesn't work in most of the shit people try forcing it in. Stop it. Also, how did the viewer get in a ship and find them so fast? They had like a really fucking big head start. So the giant mega cannons that are supposed to keep people from illegally getting into the city turn on the city and start firing on the ship. Most of these blasts miss, implying that the mega cannons probably killed a bunch of people in the effort, despite this supposedly impenetrable line of defense, which the movie itself deliberately describes as impenetrable. They very easily penetrate it on their first try because they're too small and too fast. Oh god, we're using Last Jedi logic again, aren't we? So they get hit like once and start spiraling toward the lava, but honestly, I don't see why this is supposed to even hurt them. Aquaman took bullets and a grenade launcher to the face and only comes away with a tiny bruise. How is molten rock the thing that hurts them? The movie tries to say that the Atlantean steel is the real game changer, but why are they so afraid of lava? Is it based on the principle of let's not touch that, or are the rules even more fucked than I imagined? I'm guessing it's the second, since the movie isn't smart enough to explain otherwise. So Aquaman and Jacqueline Glenn bail, and Aquaman talks to a whale and then they're swallowed by it. Jacqueline asks how he did that, once more implying that nobody else has this power. The only difference is that Aquaman is a half-breed, so is the human part of him able to talk to fish? And if not, what does allow him to do this? Wouldn't his brother, who's pure royal blood, have that power over Aquaman? What fucking property of this biracial relationship led to him getting the superpower to talk to fish? Then Aquaman makes a Pinocchio joke, which Jacqueline Glenn obviously doesn't understand. Keep that in mind, I'm not done with it yet. So the whale takes them to the Sahara Desert, all the while the viewer looks at their destroyed ship sinking to the lava and believes they're dead. Keep that in mind, I'm not fucking done with it yet. So at the beach, Aquaman and Jacqueline Glenn walk out of the ocean in slow-mo to an airport that's for some fucking reason just sitting there. Why the fuck is there an airport next to the ocean? Yes, I know, there are airports in the Sahara next to the ocean. The problem is there are roads and civilization next to them. There is nothing fucking here. Why is there just some random airport in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere exactly where they get out of the ocean? Why do the people at the airport not question their weird clothes or why they came from the fucking goddamn ocean? Why do they just accept pirate treasure as payment? Where did they get these nice new clothes and what happened to their old ones? Why does this guy have an Australian accent? What the fuck is he doing here? Why are you playing this awful remix of Africa by Toto played by fucking Pitbull? What the fuck is happening in this stupid piece of shit movie? So back on the Atlantean mothership, Draco Malfoy, or whoever the fuck this is, finds Jacqueline Glenn by her transponder signal. Not sure why they even bothered looking for it in the first place when for all they knew the two were already fucking dead, but whatever. Just shut off your brain, it helps in enjoying shitty movies. So we flash back to Mr. Black Guy who's on a lonely desert island in the middle of nowhere.
Why is the rum gone?
Remember him from the beginning of the movie? Well, now halfway through he's become conveniently relevant again. It's actually really easy to forget he's even in this movie until he just randomly shows back up. So because the viewer's on assassination vacation, he can't just waste his precious time trying to come and hunt down Aquaman himself. You know, the same random black guy who got his ass smashed in when we last saw him fight Aquaman. Well, apparently the viewer believes in second chances, so he gives the black man a bunch of Atlantean tech and a squad of Power Rangers to track down and kill Aquaman. He gets this super water gun that kills mountains, and then he turns around and what the fuck is this face? What does this say? What does this mean? So then he goes back to his ship and then he starts to reverse engineer the Atlantean tech and hold up, stop everything. What the fuck is happening? The movie established in the bar scene that the pirates stole the advanced sub. It's not like they built it or anything, they just did what pirates do best, which is stealing shit that doesn't belong to them. So at what point was it ever established that he could reverse engineer this shit to make a bug helmet that shoots lasers from its eyes? Oh, whatever. We're just having so much fucking fun, aren't we? So Fewer and the gang go to the Mermaid City, which for some reason looks way more impressive than fucking Atlantis does. I don't know if it's just because of the fact that we actually get a wide view of it, whereas with Atlantis we don't, but it's kind of strange, to be honest. So the Fewer goes to the Mermaid King and he's like,
okay, so basically we need you to help us kill everybody.
And the Mermaid King's like, nah nigga, I just want to flip a flap around with my homies. And the Fewer's like,
okay, you will die now, faggot.
And then they just fucking kill all the mermaids except for the queen and her son. For the duration of the film, the mermaid people will not question this or try to retaliate despite having a formidable army of their own and another faction in the form of the crab people who could just as easily come and help. The crab people are opposed to the Fewer anyway. Wouldn't they be more inclined to help out the mermaids if they came to them saying, hey, the Atlantean king just committed fucking regicide and assert power from the throne. Can you, like, help us kill them? But no, the mermaids are now perfectly fine with this, put up no opposition, or even pretend throughout the rest of the movie like they take issue with this incredibly serious thing, and now join the Atlanteans to try and kill or convert all the crab people. Okay, sorry, but what the fuck? Where do I even begin trying to deconstruct why this is stupid beyond measure? Okay, so the movie makes it super fucking clear that Atlantis was incredibly advanced millennia before the rest of the world exited the fucking Stone Age or whatever. Even after an apocalyptic event that makes no goddamn sense, they managed to evolve drastically and develop underwater technology that rivals the shit we see in Star Wars. But because one random sub that was never explained and is never brought up again shot a torpedo at some Atlanteans, the Fewer is now hellbent on going to war with the surface. Without the consent of the other races, he unleashes a global tsunami that wreaks unparalleled havoc on the rest of the Earth, and that was just a warning. So if Atlantis is supposed to be the biggest of the three races' homes, their technology is out of this world, and one guy was able to decimate the coast of every continent on Earth, then why the fuck do they even need the help of the mermaids and the fish people? I'm not even sure what their motivations are. You talk to the mermaids for all of 30 seconds before deciding to kill them and usurp the throne. The mermaids and subsequently the crab people are entirely opposed to your rule from the get-go. When you chained up Aquaman, you gave all your reasons for hating Earth outside of that random spur-of-the-moment attack. So why do the other races not agree with those other reasons? Wouldn't the actions of the humans affect them just as much? Especially in relation to, like, well, most of the population, since they can't breathe air at all. You see, contrary to the opinions of at least some of my peers, I actually don't mind politics being in movies, at least to some degree. Obviously, I'm against the whole anti-capitalist, feminist, politically correct bullshit festering throughout the entire product that is The Last Jedi and other films of its ilk. However, when we're discussing something as important as a war, politics and religion is a necessity. War is always inherently political or religiously motivated both in history and in fiction. What spurred wars in our own ancient history? Sometimes it was just something simple like a dispute over land. Sometimes it was largely motivated by religious dogma as we saw in the Crusades. Hell, even the Lord of the Rings' war was technically politically motivated. Sauron was a tyrannical dark lord that wanted to enslave or destroy all of Middle-earth, effectively wiping out the realm of elves, dwarves, and men. It may not have the politics of Republicans or Democrats, but that is still a political move nonetheless. And Aquaman perfectly fucking illustrates why politics are, in some rare cases, actually necessary. Because without them, this entire scenario doesn't make any fucking sense. It's not like the Fewer brought the entire Atlantean army to the Mermaid City, or at least the movie didn't show that. If he did, that's just a whole new level of idiotic and would make even less sense, given that it would look pretty damn threatening if the whole army showed up at the mermaid's doorstep. But we'll go under the impression he didn't, in which case it was only that huge ship and we'll give it a few escorts just for good measure. After assassinating the king right in front of the mermaid royalty who are very much still alive, why the hell didn't they immediately order a counterattack on the Fewer ship at the very least? And if it was too risky, then why not send someone to the Crablands asking for help? Clearly neither of them like the Atlanteans, and given how vehemently the crab people are opposed to them, wouldn't they be inclined to help the mermaids just because the Fewer has committed such a heinous war crime? For that matter, how is this murder even possible? Who the hell would just let the king and his men in with weapons? And why are the mermaids so fucking incompetent that their security can't even protect the king in his fucking throne room? And once again, what are the political motivations to the crab people and mermaids for rejecting the request to overthrow the earth? Why do the problems that the Fewer brings up not seem to affect them? And if they do, then Why do they ignore them? The best excuse we get is that the mermaids just want to teach the humans, which they made no attempt to do, and the crab people won't join them because... why? The movie just says they'll never join them and leaves it at that. I guess that's the most depth we'll get out of the crabs. But tell me, is it really worth risking open rebellion amongst both the mermaids and the crab people just so you can take revenge on the surface? In this movie, you obliterate one another's forces because you want to go to war with somebody else. What's the fucking use of killing each other if you want to go to war with the surface? Can you just make some fucking stupid 2012 level mega tsunamis or something? Wouldn't that be more effective than killing each other to decide if you'll all go to war with the surface? And what's the fucking end game here? Once you attack, then what? Hope the surface doesn't launch a full-scale counterattack on you? You're just gonna reveal your location. You realize we have nukes, right? I mean, you had a fucking hologram of the Deepwater Horizon exploding, so you should probably know that we blow shit up a lot. In the real world, there are people fucking itching to use nukes, and the world of Aquaman is significantly less intelligent than our real world. So launching nukes would probably be like an instinctual response at that point. And as if all of this wasn't enough, can I ask one simple question? What fucking use would the mermaids and crab people be? You've already established that only the royal bloodline can go up on the surface. Sure, the Atlanteans have that fucking stupid Power Ranger armor, but what about the fucking mermaids? What are they gonna wear? You gonna build them some fucking robot legs just for this special occasion? And for that matter, what about the crab people? What the fuck are they gonna wear? How are you planning on getting their crazy monster thing to attack on land if it can't fucking breathe? But Wolf, you just need to read the comics. It's not a plot hole if it's in the comics. No. Full stop. I know this will draw the ire from many DC fanboys, but I genuinely do not respect you as a person if you make this argument. I think you are actually legitimately mentally retarded if you think this is a valid point. I should not have to read external material to understand the basic fundamentals of the world in a 2.5-hour movie. This was a bullshit point in regards to the Halo games, it was a bullshit point in regards to the new Star Wars films, and it's still a bullshit point now. If your movie is not capable of explaining these concepts that utterly break the world that you are setting up, then your movie fucking sucks. And no, I'm not accepting that idiotic Patrick Willems approach to this issue, claiming that all movies would be like 50 hours long to explain this. The Lord of the Rings has an absolute quantum assload of shit jam-packed into numerous gigantic novels that I haven't even had the chance to finish yet. And even after I do, it would take years of numerous rereads to fully understand it all. Despite that, the movie adaptations, of which altogether in their extended edition formats, which are the only formats you should ever watch, are well over 3 hours long each, with the exception of Return of the King, which is a little over 4 hours. And I can say in good faith that you do not have to read any of the books to understand the films, and many of the supposed plot holes that idiot pseudo-intellectuals like Patrick like to point out are slapping you in the face repeatedly in those movies. No, the Eagles are not a plot hole, not in the context of the books, nor in the context of the films. I genuinely think the people who think this is a hole didn't actually watch the movies, or at least didn't actually pay attention to them. The Nazgul and their fell beasts are an omnipresent threat throughout the course of the films that pseudo-critics seem to conveniently forget about all the time. They already got close enough to Frodo and Sam multiple times and escaped only because they were either hidden or the fell beasts missed and came under fire from the Gondorians in the city below. If they were riding the Eagles at the time, the fell beast could have easily killed several members of the Fellowship. If Frodo was thrown free or the ring itself fell off his neck, which has happened, then they would spend like an eternity searching for where it fell and never find it. The Nazgul would actually have a better chance of getting it back that way. The first movie clearly establishes that Saruman controls the skies because he can find them wherever they are and wherever they go, which is the reason why they can't get over the Pass of Caradaras. Saruman would always be able to find them, and thus the Nazgul would as well. But even if we ignore that and assume they can get to Mordor without encountering the Nazgul, the armies of Mordor and Isengard are shown throughout all 3 movies to have ranged weaponry. They could easily shoot down the Eagles and swarm them. No, they can't fly too high because literally every single shot of Mordor shows toxic volcanic plumes in the air that would kill both the Eagles and the Fellowship before ever reaching Mount Doom, meaning that they would have to fly lower and expose themselves to tens of thousands of orcs that would easily shoot them down and reclaim the ring. And no matter how strong the Fellowship is, they can't fight off this many orcs, which is the entire reason why they had to sneak in anyway. Also, the Wraiths are not a plot hole. The entire point of getting them to help is that they were murderers and traitors to Gondor, cursed to stay in the mountain and banished from death until the heir of Isildur commanded them to come to Gondor's aid. Coming to Gondor's aid, however, doesn't entail entail invading a foreign land. The Wraiths also have at least some control over themselves and have the ability to reject Aragorn's demands, but they don't want to be stuck in the fucking mountain forever, so they agree to come to Gondor's aid. The movie literally has Gimli mention that they should keep the ghosts around because they're good in a fight.
Bad idea. Very handy in a tight spot, these lads. Despite the fact they're dead.
But they'd already sworn to come to Gondor's aid to keep it from destruction. The movie tells you that. If Aragorn made them stay, that would be a betrayal to his character. Aragorn would never go back on an oath he'd already sworn. Not to mention, since the Wraiths still have the ability to do what they want, if Aragorn told them to stay, they could just as easily try to kill him for breaking his oath, and that would fuck up everything. These are concepts from the movies. There's even more reasons in the books. But since these are the films we're discussing, I'm using the context from them and not going the Aquaman route of saying, well, it's accurate to the comics, so yeah, I don't care. I care if it's in the movie. The Lord of the Rings adequately explains why these two plot holes are not actually plot holes. Aquaman, however, doesn't get this card, whereas the Lord of the Rings either naturally explains how the world works through important dialogue, or gives you more than enough visual cues throughout the near 12-hour experience to infer why they can or cannot do something. Aquaman doesn't explain the vast majority of its important concepts through dialogue or inference. It takes the time to tell us why there's a bridge and why there's cannons on the wall. The cannons don't need an explanation, it's clearly for protection against invaders. The bridge might be silly, but it's not an issue. Neither of those things warranted explanation. How certain characters survived otherwise unsurvivable circumstances, how Aquaman uses his talking to fish powers and why nobody else has that but him, who the pirates are, why they were attacking the sub, and why they were working with the Atlanteans, and everything else I have mentioned and will mention about the rest of this video are not explained in the context of the film, nor can they be inferred by anything shown in the visuals or dialogue. Saying it's not a plot hole in the source material is not an argument. If we were discussing the comics, I would concede those points, but we're not. It's an unreasonable expectation that everyone who sees this movie, or any movie for that matter, has to read all of the source material and know all of the lore going in. This is a movie adaptation designed to introduce mass audiences to a character we don't otherwise know, and to tell a story that hasn't otherwise been told in this format. I would never expect people who haven't read the Dark Tower books to have read them prior to seeing the movie. That movie's an abomination already, but it tries to jam-pack 8 books into an hour and a half while retconning most of it and changing the rest. But in a perfect world where the movie was good, I would still criticize it for not adequately explaining concepts from the books. Even if I personally understand it since I've read all of them, it would be unfair to the masses to be forced to read all of them to understand it in a different medium. Likewise, I shouldn't have to be expected to watch a bunch of shitty short films, read awful comics, and read inconsistent novels written by a couple good writers and another host of really bad ones to understand what the fuck is happening in Halo 5. If you can't convey this to the audience, then you're a bad writer. Maybe if you wasted less time on a romance that's totally unconvincing, training segments that offer nothing, and assaulting the eyes with over-the-top spectacle that adds nothing to the plot, you could have adequately explained the important issues this movie presents. I am perfectly willing to give the comics the benefit of the doubt and assume that they explain all of this, but that doesn't translate to the movie. I've seen this film called consistent numerous times, but the only thing it manages to remain consistent on is how monstrously inconsistent it is. It wastes time on boring shit that can be easily taken out and not have changed a thing. It gives the viewer exposition on meaningless aspects to the world, but doesn't explain even a fraction of the things that really matter. We're just expected to accept that Aquaman could talk to fish because he did one time when he was 5 for no reason. Yeah, I guess the movie is consistently retarded, but since it made money and doesn't have feminism, it must be good. Oh right, got it. That's totally a good argument. This movie's totally not a useless piece of dog shit. So, TLDW, this is just a long way of saying that if you're adapting an intellectual license to film, it is your responsibility to accurately and cogently convey these concepts to the audience. It is your responsibility to ensure that your stories are airtight and devoid of plot holes and logical inconsistencies. If you cannot do that, then you are not a good fucking writer. The movie makes no attempt whatsoever to explain why the Atlanteans required the assistance of the mermaids and the crab people. The movie makes no legitimate attempt to explain why they aren't affected by the same issues as the Atlanteans and why they don't want to help go to war with the surface beyond that the crabs don't want to and the mermaids are pussies. The movie makes no attempt whatsoever to explain what the fucking plan would be if they agreed to go to war anyway. In a perfect world, let's assume no conflict arose between these factions and they all banded together immediately to fight what they deemed to be a threat that endangered all of them. A threat which, by the way, seems to not affect any of them them throughout the course of this movie and only appears for 27 seconds in the form of a random goddamn submarine. Purely for the sake of argument, let's just say they all immediately banded together, no questions asked. What then? How are they going to get to the surface if the vast majority of them have no means with which to do so? How are they going to wage a consistent ongoing war against the surface if only like 30 of them can even fucking breathe air? For the sake of argument, let's just assume the mermaids and crab people really can get their hands on some flashy Power Ranger suits that would fit them just fine. How long are those suits going to last though? The further inland you go, the less large bodies of water you're going to see. And of those large bodies of water, next to none of them are salt water. Eventually, those suits are probably going to need some maintenance repairs or refills on water, much like how we need to refill air on scuba gear. I mean, I know it works for the Atlanteans for some reason when what's-his-fuck shoves his head in a toilet later, but what about the crabs and the mermaids? In fact, now that I think about it, why does the toilet bowl water work for what's-his-fuck later? Jesus Christ, none of this makes any sense! This scenario is based on a farce concocted by stupid people to create fake drama so a bunch of idiots would think this is a good movie. Anyhow, so Jacqueline Glenn and Aquaman literally just jump out of an airplane and land harmlessly in the desert so we can cross out fall damage from the list of inconsistent things that can actually kill them. They start wandering around arguing with each other about how shitty the Earth is, and Jacqueline Glenn just starts ranting about the environment. Now, throwing garbage into the ocean is a pretty fucking bad thing, don't get me wrong, but she mentions melting the polar ice caps as well. Yeah, that's bad for us, but wouldn't that be really good for her? She says it like it's a bad thing, and while it certainly is, in the context of Atlantis, that's pretty fucking good, actually. It just means there's way more territory for the Atlanteans. Why would you, of all people, have a problem with that? Like, yeah, I'm with you on the garbage thing. I'm even with you on the ice caps thing. The problem is that in your context, that second part is a net positive for you. You know, it's amazing to me how all the people who thought this movie was good and how all of the anti-SJWs claiming that this movie is so apolitical totally managed to miss this. I guess it just has something to do with the SJWs still being mad at Aquaman for all the wrong reasons, which we'll get into at the end of the video, don't worry. Anyway, so Aquaman doesn't like her GPS, so he throws it into the ground. Why? What were you planning on doing without it? Without the GPS, you don't have any idea where to go or how to get to the place you're going. He does this like they're on some beautiful nature hike and she's on Snapchat. Now, I can say from personal experience that, yeah, deleting all your apps and going for a hike in the mountains is a really fucking nice thing, but that's not the context here. If you are specifically looking for something, how are you going to find it if you throw the GPS away, you stupid fuck? Well, the place he threw the GPS just happened to be exactly where they needed to go, and they go down a very convenient bone slide into the kingdom where Atlan's trident was made. Sadly, they can't get the thingy to work because there's no water, and Aquaman remarks that it was built before the Sahara was a desert. Once again, this is retarded. A 3-second Google search literally brings up that the Sahara has been a desert for 7 million fucking years. So are you really trying to tell me that Atlan's trident was made before modern humans ever came to be? A rough estimate says that between 5 and 7 million years ago, the first human ancestors began to appear. Ancestors, as in the common ancestor that we share with apes. As in, not fucking human. But no, please, do keep trying to grasp at straws telling me how this isn't a terrible fucking dog shit movie. Oh, yeah, and this is all underground, so where's the fucking light coming from? That winding slide thing should not be able to cast this much illumination. Oh, and Jacqueline Glenn remarks, oh wow, this is real, when she was the one trying to convince Aquaman of that earlier in the film, but now they've suddenly flipped, so he can smile knowingly at her for no reason. In order to power the machine thingy, Jacqueline Glenn takes some water from Aquaman's forehead, and apparently one drop powers all the ancient rusted shit that's breaking down and been buried under a desert for supposedly 7 million years. Need I even explain? If that were the case, this place wouldn't even fucking exist anymore. This entire game of find the trident is broken because one goddamn line manages to shatter the logic that holds this flimsy goddamn movie together. Anyway, everything of course starts working and we get an exposition hologram of King Atlan, who just appears to give us a riddle that tells us exactly what to do. I'm glad that he thought ahead to do that. That's definitely not convenient at all. Then they're spooked by a bottle appearing and they touch fingers. Remember this, it's important. I'll fucking come back to it. So anyway, they go to Sicily, Italy. Movie, you do realize that Sicily is an island, right? Like a really, really big island with a ton of places on that island. What specific part of Sicily are they at? This is the thing. These title cards range from being super specific to not specific at all. Maybe it's best to just not fucking include them. So now Jacqueline Glenn decides that she really likes the surface because a florist gave her free roses for some reason, which she starts eating. Yup, that fish out of water joke just never gets old, does it? You know, now that I think about it, how did they get to Sicily? Did they find another airport? Does the GPS lead them there too? They were in the middle of the Sahara the last time we saw them. How far did they have to walk to find this airport? Did they also happen to accept Atlantean treasure? Was it the same Australian guy? Did you really just pull a fucking Dark Knight Rises on us? Anyway, back to the plot. Jacqueline Glenn starts making seahorse thingies in the water because it makes a little girl smile. She's apparently the only one in this crowded town that notices this. The girl, for some totally inexplicable reason, then gives Jacqueline Glenn a copy of fucking Pinocchio, which she then starts reading to understand the joke that Aquaman made earlier. First off, why the hell did she give Jacqueline that specific book? Why was that specific book conveniently there in the first place? Was it really just played off for some shitty joke that wasn't even funny? And on top of that, they're in Italy. Was that book written in Italian? Because then we have to ask why Jacqueline Glenn knew how to read Italian. And if it wasn't, then why is there some English edition of Pinocchio and fucking Sicily? Did nobody think when they were making this movie? So they climb up this really tall cliff to this old ruin to read the riddle. Apparently Aquaman's dad, a lighthouse keeper in Maine, decided to keep him up to date on his Roman history for some reason, which is really convenient in helping him figure out this riddle. Then a random explosion appears. You know what? I think we need a whole web series dedicated to this shit. We can call it Tropes versus Explosions in Aquaman. And in comes Black Manta, and... Oh my god. Do I actually have to explain this? Do I really? Aside from how goofy as shit this looks, he would be staring at a black line in the middle of his helmet. This is such a retarded design for a suit. Does he have some screen that overlaps it inside? Is he also conveniently affluent in hologram technology? Is this Black Iron Man? No, because in the after credits scene it shows it cracked in half like an egg and there's just nothing there. So we had to be looking out these two giant bug eyes. This is so fucking ineffective. Why didn't you just keep the fucking water gun? I don't care if it's in the comics. The comics are fucking stupid if this is the case. So he shoots Aquaman, and I guess we can add lasers to the things that definitely do hurt him. So lava, laser beams, and Atlantean swords. And since his mom was supposedly eaten alive by the necromorphs, I guess we can add fangs to that. So necromorph fangs, lasers, lava, and Atlantean swords. Those are what kill Aquaman. But tsunamis, bullets, rocket launchers, and falls from thousands of feet in the air have no effect. Can somebody please explain to me how a movie can be this inept? So I'm gonna skip over most of this following scene because I will admit this fight and subsequent chase scene is actually pretty good. It's honestly better than it has any right to be in this terrible, awful, no good, very bad film. The camera work is pretty good, there's some practical effects that really drew me into the experience, the music was solid, and set design was on point. I don't have many issues with it aside from this lame grandma joke I've seen done like a billion times and it's never any funnier every time I see it. No, it's at the end when shit once again decides to not make any sense. So a bell is falling right where a little girl just happens to be standing. Rather than just tackling the girl out of the way, Aquaman rams his shoulder into the bell and it smashes into a building like fucking 2 feet away from this dude. Wouldn't shoving the girl out of the way have been more effective than almost killing somebody else? What if she was related to him? What if you like accidentally made her life far worse than it would have been if she just fucking died? So Black Manta stabs Aquaman in the shoulder. Twice. I guess he can only hit that one very specific spot that doesn't kill him and is easily negated for the rest of the film. He beats him away temporarily and then Aquaman finds this random guy screaming in pain because half a building fell on him. He lifts it up and this motherfucker just goes prancing away like none of this even fucking happened. What the fuck? He was like screaming in pain and shit and couldn't get out. With the weight of the wall and the force of it falling on him, his legs should have been fucking mush or at the very least broken to a point he can't move. But no, I guess the wall just gently laid on top of him and kept him stuck there. And to go off that, what fucking position was this dude in that he managed to get stuck here? Was he just sitting with his legs out waiting for it to happen? Because if he was running away, then that shit should have hit him in the head and flattened him. This makes no sense. What the fuck is happening? Anyway, let's just get this over with, Aquaman throws some balls. They tangle around Black Manta's neck and he shoots the balls and the balls blow him up and he smashes numerous times down the mountainside. Spoiler, he doesn't die even though he should, which is just fucking dumb. Keep that in mind, I'm not done with it yet. Later that afternoon, Aquaman wakes up on a boat that Jacqueline Glenn stole. His laser and stab wounds are magically healed by seaweed. I'm glad to know that this movie also has its own version of Black Panther's stupid magical ball thing. Aquaman then starts lamenting about not saving Black Manta's dad when he had the chance. You see, this is a thing. The movie tries to pretend it did the same thing as The Incredibles when Mr. Incredible's biggest fan turned evil because he was spurned by his hero. The problem is, it made sense in the context of The Incredibles. Was it a little crazy? Sure. Pushing it? I can get behind that. But at least there was a legitimate, understandable reason and motivation behind this character turning evil that I can get behind. Regardless of how nuts the movie gets toward the end when we're forced to wonder how the fuck Syndrome organized all this shit realistically. The problem here is not only does Black Manta's involvement with the Fewer make no logical sense and has no explanation behind it, but his motivations are totally fucked. Yeah, Aquaman let your dad die, but your dad shot him with a grenade launcher. He tried to shoot him with a grenade launcher a second time as well. You saw him do both of those things. Why in the fuck would anybody give enough of a shit to save you after doing that? Yeah, Aquaman's a superhero, and a superhero is supposed to do what's right. Not that he gave much of a shit in Justice League, and not like this movie tries to make it seem like he gives a shit here either, but I get that. The problem is, I don't care what a superhero is. I wouldn't expect anyone to save this piece of shit. Even Jesus would look at this guy and be like, dude, what the fuck? I mean, who the fuck even cares? You tried to kill him and the only reason he didn't die is because Aquaman's weaknesses are the most inconsistent goddamn thing ever. I can't empathize with this character like this movie clearly wants me to when he's such a cut and dry bad guy. He doesn't have any legitimate motivation for wanting to kill Aquaman beyond, he didn't save my murderous pirate dad. Oh boy, that's some crazy good writing there. Maybe if you two didn't try to, I don't know, fucking kill him, maybe I could get behind this. But this is awful writing. These motivations don't line up. Aquaman shouldn't even have to feel remorse because these are so obviously bad fucking people. You both murdered dozens of innocent Russians on a sub for fucking nothing. Or at least the movie can't be fucked to tell us what that something is. Anyway, they go to the trench and fight off the necromorphs, which are afraid of light. Aquaman is the one that knows this for some reason despite having no reason to. Wouldn't Jacqueline Glenn be more aware of this than he is? So they jump down into the ocean, and I'll admit, these are some pretty cool shots. We're then told that we've entered the Kingdom of the Trench. I'm not sure that this constitutes as much of a kingdom as it is a hive, but whatever. Speaking of which, can I ask a question? The origin story of Atlantis already makes fuck all sense, but why did some people turn into crabs, necromorphs, and mermaids, but the main Atlanteans are just normal? Why did some people evolve and others devolved? Why are only the human Atlanteans considered to have evolved while the mermaids and crab people still have lasers and shit too? Potential future writers out there, please pay attention to this shit. If you're creating a world, particularly in the realm of fantasy or science fiction, please have it make fucking sense. The world building in this movie is fucked. The origin story of Atlantis doesn't make sense. The races don't make sense. The political motivations of the different factions don't make sense. Apparently there's 7 kingdoms, but we only know of 5. The technology only slightly makes sense. The superpowers of Aquaman compared to the others don't make sense. Seriously, fucking nothing in this movie makes sense. This is not how you do world building. This is like an autistic child's interpretation of world building. Anyway, so they go into this lightning storm thingy, which again, why is there lightning underwater? And it's a portal to the center of the Earth. I'm not kidding, it's literally labeled Earth's core. It's got all that wacky adventure shit from Jules Verne's A Journey to the Center of the Earth, even as the dinosaurs and everything. Thanks for dragging Jules Verne into this movie. I'm sure he'd appreciate watching you rape his story with a cactus. So anyway, Jacqueline Glenn is saved by a mysterious savior who is wearing a necromorph costume, and the mysterious savior is Aquaman's mom. They recognize each other immediately and run to do a hug. Okay, stop. Jesus, okay, let's break this down. Okay, so you've ripped off Harry Potter, you've ripped off A Journey to the Center of the Earth, and now you're ripping off one of the central plot elements to How to Train Your Dragon 2. If you haven't seen that movie, it goes as follows. Hiccup is led to believe his mom was killed by a dragon. Aquaman was led to believe his mom was killed by the necromorphs. Hiccup finds a secret world filled with dragons. Aquaman finds a secret world filled with dinosaurs. Hiccup finds his mom there dressed in a dragon costume. Aquaman finds his mom there dressed in a necromorph costume. Despite neither of them seeing each other other in decades. They both instantly recognize each other in both scenarios with no real justification for it, only it makes even less sense in Aquaman. Now sure, Aquaman probably saw pictures of his mom and would recognize her, but how would she recognize him? He doesn't even have the same colored eyes as he did when they last met, and he's got a big fucking beard and muscles and shit. How the hell would she recognize him? Is it mother's intuition? Because it's dumb. Just as dumb as it was in How to Train Your Dragon 2. But why does it make less sense? Well, the necromorphs all backed off when they went into the lightning storm portal thingy. So why would she be wearing a necromorph costume? Wouldn't a velociraptor costume make more sense since, well, she's surrounded by fucking dinosaurs? Why would she even need a costume here in the first place? How did she survive the trench without a flare? How did she capture a necromorph and make a costume out of it? Am I to believe she just found one, stayed in a cave, made a costume, and then went into the lightning storm? And then just afterwards she decided to keep it because it looked cool? Because the movie deliberately says they can't go back through the storm unless they have Atlan's trident, which can only be taken through royal blood. I mean, what the fuck happened? Was she just rocking the light of Elendil?
Pokemon go to the pole!
This shit makes no fucking sense. And of all the movies to just blatantly rip off, I would say How to Train Your Dragon 2 is not one of them. Is it a bad movie? Not necessarily. I'd say it's an okay film, but heavily overrated. Maybe I'll make a video on that at some point when my rage for this one finally ebbs. Meanwhile, the viewer suspects a mole in his presence and he discovers that Willem Dafoe is actually a good guy. He says he knew all about how he trained Aquaman, which begs the question of why he's still alive. Why would you keep him alive if you know he's working with your enemy, you stupid shit? Why did this conversation not come up until right now? So Aquaman goes through the waterfall and into the abyss and he finds the grave mine from Halo. It looks pretty much identical and even has a similar voice despite it being female.
I am a monument to all your sins.
I have guarded the trident against false kings since the beginning, and for 1,000 years.
The Gravemind talks to him about some shit and says that other people have tried to get the trident. How exactly? Willem Dafoe established they didn't get this cylinder thingy until a few months before the events of this movie began. So was there another way to get there that didn't require finding this useless cylinder and doing all this complicated shit? How did these other motherfuckers get away from the trench and into the center of the earth? Why did they do that for that matter? And no, these aren't guys who came to stay with Atlan. The Gravemind specifically says that they tried to get the trident before and they failed, and it shows their bones on screen, which begs the question of how Atlanta managed to survive it. Also, where in the fuck did this monster come from and why did it decide to defend the trident? Did Atlan make it? If so, how? And if not, then why did it take it upon itself to defend the trident? So Aquaman, having that unexplained power to speak to fish, can speak to the Gravemind, and the movie's like, hey, remember that shitty prologue? Yeah, because I really wanted to be reminded of that. Ugh, okay, I have to address this. This makes no sense. The movie does not explain or allude to the reason why Aquaman can speak to fish but nobody else can. By all rights, being half human, half Atlantean, he shouldn't be able to. Still, nobody understands it. Everyone in Atlantis thinks it's fucking weird, and he can just do it naturally with no practice, training, or explanation whatsoever. It's a gigantic plot hole that allows him to do this. It's not like he trained to do this. It's not like it's something he naturally discovered. It's just a thing he can do as a get out of jail free card in order to get the trident and not have to fight the Gravemind. It is one of the biggest plot contrivances I think I've ever seen. You have to allude to this. You can't just say, hey, remember the prologue and call it good. The prologue means dick if you aren't capable of explaining this concept. Why can Aquaman talk to fish? Why can nobody else talk to fish? Why is it even that big of a deal if the other Atlanteans were able to make peace with other marine animals? There's whales dragging cargo and war sharks and war seahorses. In fact, what's the special fucking thing about this? I don't get it. And why does everyone make a big fucking deal about it in the movie if it doesn't seem to be much different from what everyone else is doing? The reason this bears discussion, though, is because the movie says it's a big deal. Why? Why can he do this but nobody else can? What is different about this kind of communication as opposed to what the other Atlanteans already do? Why does he have this power? How was he able to figure out that he had this power? How was he able to control it? For example, let's look at Harry Potter. Again, regardless of what you think of the books or films, this concept was done much better. Okay, so ever since the first movie, we've known that Harry can speak Parseltongue, which is the language of snakes, right? But it's not deliberately explained until nearly the end of the final film. However, it is alluded to constantly. Everything from Voldemort's almost snake-like appearance, his snake-like voice, Harry The fact that he has an actual snake, the fact that Harry has a crazy bond with Voldemort because of when he was attacked, the fact that Voldemort was a Slytherin, and the fact that Voldemort has a giant fucking basilisk in his basement and can speak to it. All throughout Harry Potter's storyline, it is constantly alluded to that it's because of Voldemort that Harry can speak to snakes. While we aren't given the full explanation for it until the end where we find out Harry's a Horcrux, the movies still ensure that we know there's something to this. There is no such illusion with Aquaman. The only thing we get is that his mom was Atlantean. Okay, sure, but what does that change? She can't speak to fish as far as the movie lets us know. The other Atlanteans think it's weird as well, so they obviously can't do it. So why does Aquaman have it beyond he needs it to get the MacGuffin to stop the bad guy at the end of the movie? Because that's a fucking terrible reason. Again, I don't give a shit if this is in the comics. If it is, good for fucking them. But this is the film, and I'm reviewing the film in the context of the universe the DCEU has tried and miserably fucking failed to set up. If the movie is not capable of relaying this information to the viewer, then the film has failed. I will give the comics benefit of the doubt and assume that they do explain this. The movie, however, does not, and the movie deserves to be criticized for that. I would do the same thing for any other movie, any book, any TV show, any video game, any comic, anything. This is what having a consistent standard of quality means. You criticize this shit everywhere. You can't just ignore it because you like the source material or enjoy the superficiality of the effects. Oh boy, you have a lot of money. Good for fucking you, DC. When I watch a movie, I have the expectation of basic competence. This movie has the most incompetently written story I have seen in a very long time. Aquaman tells the Gravemind to fuck off, and it does. So he grabs the trident, and there's some weird eye thing it does, which I don't know what the fuck is happening. I'm not even gonna try to explain it. And then he comes out of the waterfall wearing the dead king's clothes. I know the trident was necessary, but did you actually just pry the clothes off his corpse and try them on? What was the point of that? And how fucking convenient is it that they just happen to fit him perfectly? Also, where's that suit Aquaman had in Justice League? It's not like they're trying to pretend that shit stain never happened. They outright reference it in the beginning of the movie. Jesus Christ. Okay, so they go to the Crab Kingdom and everyone starts killing each other in another big fake CGI battle. The viewer also does his scream again. God, that's getting annoying. So the viewer, being the brilliant military technician he is, goes on the front lines, which is so logically retarded when there's lasers flying around and shit, and he finds the Crab King who looks exactly like all the other crabs. What? It's not my fault they all look alike. Oh, I guess I'm just racist. And the crab, no joke, says,
"You can take my army, you soft-bellied slug, but you will never have my allegiance!"
Did you catch that? Let me play it again.
"You can take my army, you soft-bellied slug, but you will never have my allegiance!"
Let me ask you, does that sound familiar to any of you?
That they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
So this movie rips off Harry Potter, How to Train Your Dragon 2, A Journey to the Center of the Earth, and now you've gone ahead and ripped off fucking Braveheart? Oh yeah, you changed a couple words and threw in an insult halfway through so you couldn't be sued for plagiarism. But fucking everybody knows that's exactly what you did, you unoriginal piece of shit fucking film. Before anything more can happen, the Earth erupts and the giant monster from Gears of War 2 comes out and it's being controlled by Aquaman. What is this monster? Where the fuck did it come from? It has tentacles, so is this the Gravemind? If so, does that mean that it was just chilling on its back and fucking with him while it tried to get Atlan's trident? Kind of the equivalent of like smacking someone with your toes? Because that's actually kind of funny thinking about it, but it also makes no sense. Because how the hell did it get off the island and through the lightning portal, through the trench, under the ground, and into this battle conveniently where you needed to go? Oh, shut up, Wolf. Enjoy the explosions. Anyway, Aquaman saves everyone by killing everyone. How's that one for subverting your expectations, you stupid shit? So we're gonna gloss over most of this stupid battle because it doesn't fucking matter. Though Aquaman and Jacqueline Glenn do share a kiss in the middle of this violent war where tens of thousands of people are dying in what I'm pretty sure is a knockoff of when Will and Elizabeth did it in the third Pirates of the Caribbean film. Setting aside, that is yet another movie that you really do not want to be ripping off. Would it just fucking kill you to be even somewhat original? What is this, 4 better movies you've ripped off now with the exception of At World's End? Because that one's actually a horrible fucking terrible movie. I will actually say, for as bad as Aquaman is, it is at least better than the third Pirates of the Caribbean film. So it's got that going for it. Also, good to know that touching fingers once was enough to kickstart this romance. In fairness, I'm really picky with romance in anything, mostly because romantic subplots seem to be written by people who have never been in a relationship before. So they're so far off from being convincing that it comes off as being downright annoying.
I don't like sand.
But seriously, what fucking chemistry was there between Aquaman and Jacqueline Glenn? She pretty much hated him for the first half of the movie until they made a couple jokes and touched fingers, and that was apparently enough for it, I guess. And now she's gonna be his queen, and that's just fucking wonderful. Glad we're wasting our time with this bullshit. Alright, let's just speed this shit up. They go to the surface to fight since Aquaman sucks underwater and everyone stops the war to watch. There's one cool shot. They fight for a while, and Aquaman starts doing the shield thingy that Willem Dafoe was never shown to have taught him. We weren't even shown specifically that he mastered the trident, which was the prerequisite for being taught this move in the fucking first place. And judging by Willem's expression, I'm assuming he never taught him how to do this. So like, how the fuck did you do this? And he shatters the Feuer's trident and he becomes king. Then Atlanta comes out of nowhere, and she apparently had the time to get herself a new dress, do her hair, and get herself a little tiara. Huh. Wonder when that happened. Then Jacqueline Glenn's voice becomes a megaphone out of nowhere.
People of Atlantis, today began bloodshed. Let it end in joy.
And the Feuer is taken away in a very Loki-esque fashion, where I guess they'll rip off Thor the fucking Dark World next, since everybody loved that movie. And then Aquaman is declared king and everyone just accepts it without question. Then Aquaman's mom and dad are reunited in this hilarious slow-mo running scene, and then Aquaman says,
but their love saves the world.
That's called love, you idiot.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced on that. In the after-credits scene, the movie, which just can't for the fucking life of itself stay original for 1 second, rips off the Bourne identity where Black Manta, who's drifting unconscious on a wooden pallet, appeared from somewhere, drifts up to a fishing boat, the fishermen catch him, and he's like, I'm gonna kill Aquaman. And then the movie finally fucking ends. Of the good things I have to say, aside from the Feuer's overacting and Taylor Lautner's awful acting, most of the cast did fine. Jason Momoa, despite taking a bunch of shitty roles, is still pretty charismatic and likable. Willem Dafoe is and Jacqueline Glenn did pretty well for her first movie debut. Yes, I know it's not Jacqueline Glenn, it's a joke, shut the fuck up. The music was ugh. It was really tonally inconsistent, flipping between guitar solos, classical orchestra, goofy comedy level scores, knocking off the Mass Effect soundtrack and blending in shitty pop remixes. It's honestly a disgusting soundtrack that I hated listening to throughout the entire film's runtime. Though the fight scenes were fake looking and cheesy as shit, the CGI was solid. I understand a lot of money should have to be put into a movie that takes place largely underwater, and well, they did it okay the way they did it, but the writing was a fucking travesty. I have seen so many people praise this movie, and not one of them managed to deliver one single argument as to why they think it's good. At least not a fucking valid one. The best arguments I've heard are, it looks good and it's just like the comics. I don't care about either. Now, I'm under the impression that you can throw a lot of money at something to look good and it can still be ugly. Case in point, Justice League. Hideous fucking film, but expensive as shit. Now, I'll concede that there are parts of Aquaman that do look genuinely good. Other parts, though, look genuinely bad. Still, the good mostly outweighs it, but I don't care because it's superficial. It's just a statement of how much money you had. I've seen equally or more beautiful films on far smaller budgets, so I'm not really impressed. As a visual medium, camera work, lighting, costume and set design, choreography, color grading, all that shit is important because if you have an ugly movie, even a good story won't necessarily save it. Still, the visuals shouldn't be used as a means to make up for lazy writing. The movie has some of the most laughably shit writing I've seen in all of 2018. Again, most of 2018 was filled with awful writing, but this is pretty wretched. I cannot fathom how such untalented hack writers could possibly conjure up such an incoherent mess of a film. The villain's motivations don't make sense. The main characters range from idiotic to downright boring. It tries to have depth in its conflict, but it fails because the crux of that conflict is too black and white for the moral ambiguity it's striving for. It tries to be ambitious with presenting a new and unique world, utilizing all of its budget to craft something that feels real. It fails. The Atlantean lore makes no sense. The Atlantean leaders are buffoons. The political landscape of these kingdoms is a jumbled mess of half-baked ideas. The entire race against time conflict is straight up retarded because it hinges on the leaders of these civilizations being dumb as a fucking rock. Aquaman's superpowers go totally unexplained and make no sense in the context of the world. The conflict itself, if it ever grew larger than the bounds of this movie and the Atlanteans did agree to go to the surface, makes no sense the instant you apply any thought to it. The entire idea is, let's destroy each other's armies, and if I win, we go take our shambled armadas to invade the surface where we'll most certainly fucking die. Aquaman's entrance resulted in the deaths of hundreds, if not thousands, when he controlled the sharks in the trench to kill everyone to sow disarray. Despite this, everyone accepts him as their united king without question. A king that, let me remind you, has been in Atlantis for all of a day. But this is supposed to be some fucking triumph for him. The romance is a joke between two characters who have so little chemistry it almost makes Rick and Michonne look like the world's best couple, and we all know how bad that one was. The world is inconsistent and has the most loosely written rules I've ever seen, to the point where I have no idea what can actually kill Aquaman, since grenade launchers are evidently ineffective, yet Atlantean steel and teeth are. There are innumerable plot contrivances that just allow the characters to do what they do for seemingly no sensible reason at all. Some of the shots aren't even good, like this one where all the people at the stadium are looking down and cheering, yet the battle is currently above the stadium, so the editing is pretty well fucked. The movie desperately hopes its audience is too stupid to think about these things, and sadly, they are. The movie didn't just make its money back, it fucking slaughtered the box office. At the time of writing this, it's already grossed over $1 million. It has single-handedly managed to keep the DCEU afloat after its numerous gigantic flops. Aquaman, the fucking joke character that nobody likes, is actually the thing that is keeping the DCEU from the reboot it so desperately needs. And I absolutely fucking hate it. Yes, for once, it's not entirely a straw man that I hate the movie and don't like that people think it's good. I don't care if you enjoyed it, mind you, because there's plenty of shit films I enjoy because they're funny. I'm not saying you can't subjectively like it. I've never said that in earnest about anything. What actually bothers me is when someone looks at a product like Aquaman and unironically calls it good writing, because they're wrong. It baffles the fucking shit out of me that there are so many great books, films, games, comics, and shows out there that are written by people who really care about their craft, who really give it their all when trying to make something, and they go virtually unnoticed or fade into memory. And yet bullshit like fucking Aquaman is seen as quality writing. These people are paid fucking bank to write these awful films, yet other writers out there just write something good and nobody gives a shit. When did the standard for writing plummet down the goddamn Marianas Trench? Are we really going to accept this shit over anything with quality writing? When did fucking plot holes get accepted as a thing we should just ignore? Why are we taking legitimate issues with a film and passing them off as though there's nothing wrong with them? Yeah, sure, maybe it's accurate to the comics. I don't know, and I don't care. If this is accurate to the comics, though, if there truly is this little explanation for shit going on, if the characters are this dumb, if the rules and world are this inconsistent, then I hate to be the one to break it to you, but the Aquaman comics fucking suck. Here's the thing, and it's a topic I could probably go in depth on for a video on its own. Art can be rated objectively, especially in writing. If you subjectively don't like the art style of a game like, say, Child of Light, I can't do anything about that. I think the game looks beautiful with its flowing watercolor design, but I can't really argue against subjective statements, because they are inherently not based in fact. Writing, however, is a different matter entirely. Writing can be dismantled and deconstructed very easily if it's badly written. If two things contradict each other, there's a flaw you can point out objectively. If a rule doesn't make sense, that's a flaw you can point out objectively. If a character's motivations don't make sense, that's a flaw you can point out objectively. And you can use evidence from that writing piece to support your arguments. You see, with writing you can pull up evidence from a story itself and demonstrate why it's bad. A lot of the things that are shit about Aquaman come down to the movie's inability, or in some cases outright stubborn refusal, to actually explain these important concepts. It really makes for a bad experience when you can't logically explain this shit in the context of the world. And I know the kind of comments I'm going to get because I've seen them on my Black Panther video as well. This goes against the very idea of fantasy. It's fantasy. It's meant to be fun. It's a fantasy story for children. Stop complaining. Do any of you realize how insulting that is to say about the fantasy genre? I love fantasy. It's my favorite literary genre. So when I hear excuses for bad, inconsistent, incoherent writing, and it's passed off as fantasy's supposed to be shit, it honestly fucking infuriates me. What about all the good fantasy and sci-fi that makes sense because the writers actually gave a fuck about what they were doing? What about stories like Dune, The Lord of the Rings, The Witcher, The Stormlight Archive, The Wheel of Time, The Expanse, Roadside Picnic, so on and so forth? What about those stories where the author authors pour hundreds of hours of their time fleshing out worlds and characters that feel so real. It's almost as though you're reading, watching, or playing something that tricks you into believing it's real. What about the stories that are perfectly airtight and still manage to hit all the emotional beats people want so much in stories nowadays? I keep seeing arguments from emotion posed by people who focus more on subjectivity than objectivity. They want to feel something when they watch a movie. They want to cry, feel heartbroken, feel happy, feel anything. For them, it's like feeling alone is more important than the integrity of the plot. But here's the thing, I don't care about how a movie makes me feel necessarily. I care first and foremost about the strength of the plot and its characters. For example, Terminator Genisys has two moments that are actually almost good. In this wild buttfuck of a film, there are two very specific blink and you miss it moments where I actually felt a little tiny nudge at my heartstrings. The first being when Daenerys, no, I will not call her Sarah Connor, she is not Sarah Connor, finds pictures she drew of herself in the Terminator as a kid, pictures that the Terminator kept. The idea of a robot keeping drawings from a little girl who thinks of it as a father figure is adorable. Also, when the Terminator tells this dumb oaf, no, I will not call him Kyle Reese, he is not Kyle Reese, to protect my Sarah, that's another pull on the heartstrings. Neither of these moments matter, however, because the movie is so bad. It wipes out the timeline completely, butchers the previously established characters, ruins the lore, makes up so much inane shit that the movie is borderline incoherent, and acts as an insult so great that it's genuinely hard for me to choose which is worse, Terminator Genisys or The Last Jedi, because even TLJ didn't literally wipe out the entire fucking timeline. Yes, out of context, these little bits can hit you emotionally, but I don't care about something out of context. The nuke scene from Terminator 3 was haunting and actually really well executed. It's also the only good thing in that terrible movie. Yeah, Thorin's death is sad out of context, but that doesn't make the Hobbit films good. You know what's far more impactful? When a story earns those emotional beats. If I feel sad when a story ends because I genuinely fell in love with the characters, it's because the story did everything it needed to do well. Imagine for a moment that The Green Mile had the same exact ending as we all know. I don't know about the rest of you, but I felt my fucking heart snap in half while watching it. Now, imagine that John Coffey did something that totally betrayed his character. Imagine that his reason for going to jail was that he really did maliciously kill those girls at the beginning of the film. Imagine that Paul liked to beat his prisoners, and he beat John every night. Now imagine that the ending, despite this, was exactly the same, no differences, same performances, same music, same shots, everything. But with the context of John actually murdering two innocent girls and Paul beating John every night. Would the ending still be emotionally mortifying out of context? Yes, but would it have had the same effect in context? No, because we would say to ourselves, well, John Coffey is an irredeemable child murderer, and Paul beats his prisoners, meaning their relationship throughout the film means virtually nothing, and this scene that they're trying to make emotional makes no sense. But it's because of the excellent writing prior to this scene that makes the ending so heartbreaking. It's because of the fact that the characters and world are consistent, and the film features no story-shattering holes, that the characters have a great and convincing relationship. And that's what makes the ending of The Green Mile such a fulfilling emotional experience. Compare that to Aquaman. It doesn't earn the emotion it tries to put forth with its reunion between Aquaman and Atlanta. We know so little of substance between these characters that the scene just feels like emotional manipulation. It wants you to care about the concept, not the actual depth of the event. Compare this to the ending of The Return of the King when the Fellowship was reunited. We have nearly 12 hours of a trilogy to grow attached to these characters, understand who they are as people, what their motivations are, what drives them, how they connect to one another. The last time Frodo saw Gandalf was when he fell into the pit of Khazad-dûm, and the last time he saw any of the other members of the Fellowship was when he ran away at Amon Hen. So realistically, the span of almost 4 movies later, he's finally reunited with his friends, and a whirlwind of emotion pours forth because the plot is over, the evil is vanquished, and everyone's back together safe again. But Wolf, there were 3 movies, each nearly 4 hours long or longer to spend with all those characters. That's a total false equivalence. Yes. And that's the point. The Lord of the Rings spends nearly 12 hours fleshing out the world, the characters, and the story to such insane lengths that everything about it feels very nearly real. You grow to love the characters and you want them to succeed, and when they finally do, it fully earns the emotional beat, especially in the coronation scene.
You bow to no one.
Aquaman, however, expects us to care about a reunion between a character we have seen for all of 4 minutes, 2 hours beforehand, and another character who has the most boring personality imaginable. Could this scene have worked in a short movie? Yes, The Gray is a pitch-perfect example of how to write convincing characters and make you care about them in less than 2 hours. The problem is that The Gray actually had good writing, but Aquaman doesn't. This scene makes no sense. Why is she dressed up as one of the trench monsters when they couldn't even get into the core of the earth in the first place? Why does she recognize Aquaman when the last time she'd seen him was like when he was 5 years old? Why should I care when I don't know anything of value about Atlanta aside from the fact that she's deranged? For that matter, why should I care about Aquaman? His entire arc in this movie was, I don't want to be king. Oh wait, the actual king tried to kill my dad. I will now be king and I will like it. Aside from his mom, Jacqueline Glenn and Willem Dafoe, Aquaman doesn't give a rat's ass about anyone in Atlantis. He was against being king throughout almost the entire movie. He didn't have some patriotic reason for it, no selfless reason to try and unite the peoples of land and sea and almost bring peace to the world. The only reason he even agrees to do any of this shit is because his dad almost died. His motivations are entirely selfish, and we're meant to sympathize with him as a hero character when he displays virtually no attributes of a hero character whatsoever. There's not even any point where he finally says, you know what, Atlantis isn't all that bad of a place. The entire time he was in Atlantis, people were trying to kill him, but then he just readily accepts his role as king and he's all happy about it as though he completely forgot the entire beginning of the film. There is a way to do this whole, I have a great power and responsibility, but I don't want it arc. Avatar: The Last Airbender does it quite well. Aang doesn't want to be Avatar because it's a level of responsibility he didn't ask for. It's a power that leaves him ostracized from a lot of his people, means that he and everyone else he cares about is threatened pretty much indefinitely, and with him being a kid, it's something he can't emotionally handle. Still, in order to save the world from a tyrannical overlord, he has to accept who he is and save the people he represents. Aquaman, on the other hand, doesn't give a shit about anyone but 3 Atlanteans and his dad, and it shows by his actions. In the process of stopping a war, he kills hundreds, if not thousands, of his own people in that climactic final battle. And rather than being pissed off with him for eviscerating the armies of all 3 sentient kingdoms, everyone's just totally fucking cool with him being the king because, I don't know, he's the hero, I guess. Yeah, the Fewer murdered the Mermaid King, but Aquaman in comparison brought the trench in to kill all 3 armies, turned the sharks and seahorses on their masters, destroyed numerous military warships, and undoubtedly slaughtered thousands. Is it possible that he killed significantly less than would have been killed if he never showed up? Sure, but that's like comparing Hitler to Stalin. Yeah, Stalin killed more people, but you're both pieces of shit. Couple that with a similarly ludicrous amounts of destruction that happens in these movies with Atlantis' cannons being trained on a ship inside the city, firing at them and missing, which undoubtedly killed at least a dozen or so people, a ton of destruction in Italy, and the obvious ridiculous war between the 3 kingdoms, and I don't know how the hell anyone thought this was different from the other DCEU films. It suffers from all the same issues that the other movies do, being bad writing, inconsistent characters, awful world building, weak villains, and overabundance of CGI, and destruction and fight scenes seemingly for the hell of it. In fairness, the CGI was mostly necessary in regards to this film. Some of the fight scenes have more than what was honestly necessary, but I will give the movie props for using practical effects when it did. Like I said, the chase in most of the fight scene in Italy was actually pretty well done from a technical standpoint. It has its general obnoxious hilarity at certain moments, but the practical effects and camera work actually look genuinely great. This scene will age quite nicely 10 years from now. The rest of this movie will not, as most of it looks no different from a Shadow of War cutscene. But the visuals, at least, I can mostly get past. I care more about the writing, and it's simply not good. The movie wants to be an origin story, but fundamentally fails at doing so. It wants to be emotional, but doesn't earn those emotional beats. It wants to be romantic, but fails at basic chemistry. It wants to be epic, but all it really is superficial eye candy nonsense that makes no logical sense. The training segments in this film are utterly irrelevant. They're unnecessary padding to a movie that overstayed its welcome by like 45 minutes. It's already strange enough that they decided to put in random training segments in as flashbacks and otherwise totally unrelated scenarios, most of them just being normal conversations. It was done mostly for the visual flair of having some creative one-takes, but adds nothing of value to the actual story. We don't need to know Aquaman's training background, it doesn't fucking matter. I would argue that Atlanta and Aquaman's dad's involvement in the story could be taken out completely and the narrative would have been far more effective. It would be one thing if this movie was made prior to Justice League, but it wasn't. Justice League is the shittiest possible knockoff of the Avengers imaginable. The DCEU rushed out as fast as possible to catch up with the MCU that it skipped skipped on all the valuable character development necessary for these characters. And look, I'm not saying that the lead up to the Avengers was perfect. If anything, it kinda sucked. Iron Man 1 was great, but Iron Man 2 was fucking bad. Thor was shit, the Incredible Hulk was so bad that Marvel pretended it never happened, and Captain America the First Avenger was just mediocre. Hell, I controversially don't even think the first Avengers movie is even particularly good. Fun, sure, but utterly predictable and not half as ambitious as people make it out to be. But despite that, what Marvel did correctly was establish the big characters before bringing them together. The DCEU had a Superman movie and a Wonder Woman movie, a Batman vs Superman movie where Superman fucking dies, an all-villains movie where they turned the villains into anti-heroes instead and made me individually hate every last one of them, and then jumped into its version of Avengers without even touching Aquaman, the Flash, or Cyborg, while simultaneously making Flash and Cyborg two of the most insultingly insufferable characters imaginable. Then, Aquaman comes around and tries to be an origin story that really should have been made several movies ago, while also being a coming-of-age story that makes no sense in context. We don't need to see his training, we already know he can do this shit. It changes absolutely nothing and adds nothing to the story. In regards to the SHIELD thing, it just makes a giant plot hole that acts as a super convenient get-out-of-jail-free card in the final fight. Not to mention, this final fight is pathetic. I'm not talking about the visuals or choreography, I'm talking about the actual story surrounding it. Aquaman lost the first fight against the Viewer because he was out of his element. Aquaman only won the fight against him because the Viewer was out of his. Wouldn't it have been far more rewarding if the guy called fucking Aquaman won in the sea instead of on land? Doesn't that just cheapen his reign when all it amounts to is, I can only win fights if I'm not in the water? Why would the other kingdoms follow the bastard son of the queen who fucked up all three major armies and overthrew their actual leader because he essentially cheated? The movie wants to be emotional but doesn't put in the time and effort necessary to achieving genuine emotional beats. You want me to care about Aquaman's relationship with his family? Well, first off, don't make his parents' meeting so fucking bizarre that I couldn't possibly be convinced by their relationship. But secondly, actually show how this affects Aquaman. There's nothing about the absence of his mother that has any kind of lasting impression on him throughout this film. It's mentioned a couple times and pretty much left at that until the movie decides she's gonna be conveniently relevant again. At least with the first How to Train Your Dragon movie. We see that it's because of the absence of a mother figure in Hiccup's life that his relationship with his dad is so shaky. And the reason why is because both of them have to deal with that emotional loss. His father wants to protect him from the dragons because he's under the impression they killed his mother. But Hiccup obviously knows better after meeting Toothless, so the two struggle to communicate because of this loss. That leads to the conflict between them toward the end of the movie, and then it all culminates together in a really great payoff in the climax of the film.
For once in your life, would you please just listen to me?
You've thrown your lot in with them. You're not a Viking. You're not my son. I'm sorry. For everything.
Yeah, me too.
Where was that in Aquaman? You take Atlanta out of the movie and basically nothing changes. You can't just throw her back in at the very end with a very serious plot hole and expect us to go along with it. The bulk of your audience may be dumb enough to accept this, but I'm not. Atlanta's survival makes no sense and is never explained. Likewise, her absence means absolutely nothing and has no bearing on the direction or flow of the plot. It feels like the movie is cheating when it throws in some random bullshit scene of them reuniting when there was no justifiable cause for it. This is the movie manipulating the audience's emotions because the people who think art should only be judged subjectively only care about emotion. While we're on that topic, the romance in this movie was a farce. We'll set aside Atlanta and what's-his-fuck's disturbing relationship and focus on the central one. What about Aquaman and Jacqueline Glenn's relationship throughout this movie ever indicated the two were in love? Their fingers brushed one time and Aquaman made a couple quips. She gave him a sarcastic look once. He admitted to being regretful for something he shouldn't have even been regretful for. Okay, and how does that indicate a blossoming relationship? For that matter, how is this any different from the relationship in Transformers? In fact, I'm actually inclined to say it's worse than it was in Transformers. At least in there, the two are both thrown into a situation neither of them want to be in and have no control over, and they have at least a couple scenes where Michael Bay flimsily tries to convey human emotions. There is significantly less chemistry between the main character and his love interest than there is in fucking Transformers. I'm picky with literary relationships. relationships. Most of them are really badly written and come off as awkward and sometimes even embarrassing. I can even think of a few examples where it came off as kind of abusive and disturbing. They oftentimes slow down the story significantly, don't add to the story in any meaningful way, are used purely for arbitrary sex scenes, or have fuck all to do with the actual content of the film. Romance in literature is a lot like time travel in literature. If you can stay away from it, do, because both of those things generally lead to a lot of problems and end up ruining the whole story. Finally, the movie tries so hard to be epic but fails so miserably at it. Granted, I will concede that this isn't entirely the movie's fault. I think the people who worked on it genuinely did try to make something good here, but we have to face the facts. CGI heavy battles never look good. There's a reason why the chase scene is my favorite part of the whole movie. The effects, costume design, set design, camera work, and musical score for this scene in particular are going to hold up years and years down the road. This video game cutscene boss fight isn't going to hold up in the next 5 years, and like I said, there are ways to do this practically, or at least partially practically. You can use wires, you can use green screen sets, you can use real actors and superimpose them on a CGI backdrop. Inception was able to do this to a far smaller extent with some of its crazier fight scenes. Curse of the Black Pearl was even able to do this to a smaller extent. Movies that came out years ago, years before the DCEU even officially started, put far more effort into their fight scenes than anything displayed in this movie. The overabundance of CGI has led to these movie makers becoming lazy. Yes, I get it, for the umpteenth time, this movie was going to need a lot of CGI. I get that, but there are a lot of moments where it seems that the people behind it didn't give a shit. They didn't want to do anything that involved serious effort, so they handed it off to the guys in the office and they animated the whole thing. In that case, why not do something new and innovative like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse? I'm all for new animated films that break the traditional mold. Hell, you can even base the character design off of Jason Momoa and have him voice the character. It's like people think everything needs to be live action nowadays, but Aquaman is hardly live action when the vast majority of it is CGI. At that rate, it would have not only been better, but a lot cooler if they did something new and innovative like that. It might have taken the DCEU in a direction that would have offered legitimate competition to the MCU. Instead, it falls back on the same old tired bullshit that the other films in this failed franchise have done. Ridiculous levels of destruction, overabundance of CGI, and above all else, lazy writing. And we haven't even talked about the contradictions. Now, I imagine any sane person would want to pretend that Justice League never happened, but this is insanity. In Justice League, his eyes are very clearly blue in both the scene where he went underwater and the pictures I found of him on Google Images. I honestly can't be fucked to go back and rewatch that shitty movie, so I'm just going to give it the benefit of the doubt and assume his eyes did turn yellow in that film at some point. So in that case, why are his eyes always yellow in this standalone movie? To make matters even worse, the 5-year-old version of him very clearly had brown eyes, not blue. So there's not even any semblance of consistency between the movies or between his childhood and adulthood. Plus, when Aquaman mentions his mother in Justice League, he says this about her.
You dare speak of Queen Atlanta that way?
Your queen left me on my father's doorstep and never gave me another thought.
First off, wouldn't his father have told him otherwise? Second, why wouldn't he if he didn't? Third, even despite what this random Atlantean bitch has to say, which is she of royal blood, because she's clearly not Jacqueline Glenn yet is still breathing air here. He was very overtly negative when talking about his mother, so why would he give a shit about finding her in this case? Sure, Justice League is shit and it's the one that set this up, so it's not entirely Aquaman's fault. But it is up to the writer of Aquaman to abide by the already established rules. I do not accept this bullshit excuse of the guy who did it first is the reason why the second guy was also shit. They used this same excuse with Rian Johnson, saying that TLJ was only bad because J.J. Abrams was the one that set everything up. No, a good writer can turn any idea into a good story. A bad writer can't even turn the best story into a good one. If you're going to make a continuation of the DCEU working with a previously established character, it is your responsibility as a writer to ensure that it is consistent. There is nothing even remotely resembling consistency here. This actually makes the X-Men films almost make sense. And those movies are like famous for not making sense. And on top of it all, of fucking course, the left has to make a big fucking deal out of this. Leave it to the postmodernist, communist, feminist progressives to make people have to defend this piece of shit movie. Leave it to them to come up with all the wrong reasons to dislike this awful film, invalidating the other people who also like this awful film. Evidently, they're mad that it's not progressive enough with its female characters. Trust me, this movie has plenty of fucking issues on its own. You don't need to tack on some strong female character bullshit along with it. But of course, because some dipshit dipshit said it, everyone came rallying to the movie's defense. And to make matters worse, some dickhead decided to call Jason Momoa a fucking pedophile. Why, do you ask? Because there's a picture of him hugging his own children.
The accusation here is, did Jason Momoa touch his kids, right? And no, he didn't. I can go ahead and give you that right now. When you have success, right, Aquaman came out, and naturally that puts a target on his head as far as like people looking to sell some controversy and stuff like that. The story is there was a Hawaiian festival in his hometown. Jason Momoa was going home. It's a place he grew up. And they put on a big Hawaiian like party for him, did a big dance and everything. And he got very emotional. And his kids were there with him. And he was comforting them. He had his hands around them. And it was like, you know, a special moment for him and his family. And if you know anything about Jason Momoa, he's a very family-oriented guy. He loves his kids. He had him on the Aquaman set. On a lot of the articles that I've been reading on the movie and stuff. Because, you know, I'm always looking for something to talk about.
Imagine for a moment being such a scumfuck that you'll look at a man hugging his kids in what's probably the most wholesome fucking thing a person can do, and you accuse him of being a pedophile. It's like I feel myself being physically shoved to the right every time this kind of bullshit comes up, because every day I become more and more convinced that people on the left are just horrible people. This is the most reprehensible, scumfuckery thing you can do. I may hate this movie, but a man hugging his fucking children is not pedophilia, you dense cunts. And because of that, defense of this movie became even stronger, and now it's just accepted that the film is good. Should we defend a movie, or especially a person, against attacks against their character? Yes. Should we defend them against invalid criticism or lies? Yes. But let's not mince words here. Just because some retarded SJWs are saying the movie is bad for dumb shit reasons doesn't mean by proxy that the movie is good. Aquaman is a disgrace. I hate this movie for everything it stands for. The success of this film stands to say one thing. Good writing doesn't matter. A standard for good writing doesn't exist because you can shit out fucking anything, and people will gobble this shit up like no fucking tomorrow. Why should someone care enough to develop a fleshed out world with consistent rules, deep lore, interesting and dynamic characters, compelling protagonists, terrifying villains? Why would anyone put the effort in to make something good if they can look at Aquaman and say to themselves, hey, those idiots got successful, I guess I can just shit out anything? There is a reason why 2018 was such a monumentally awful year for movies. It's because the standard for writing has drastically plummeted. Not just for films, by the way, it's something plaguing comics, television, video games, books, every narrative-driven piece of entertainment. The reason is because people keep defending and supporting dog shit like this. When you tell people that this is okay, when you give them the money year after year after year, when you tell them that you'll eat up whatever shit they slap out, you tell them that it's okay to sell us bad writing. Contrary to popular belief, writing something good is not easy. It takes effort. It takes hundreds of hours of planning, drafting, redrafting, editing, and receiving criticism from your peers and taking it into account before finishing to truly craft something great. It's come out that Rian Johnson not only used his first draft of the script, but used it before The Force Awakens was released. And to pseudo-intellectual hacks like Patrick Willems, like Movie Bob, like Quentin Reviews, that scene is A-OK! Because why care about good writing when one out-of-context snippet from a film makes you feel something? Why care about integrity in your plot when some stupid shit makes you feel happy? It's this postmodernist, anti-objectivist bullshit that I absolutely cannot stand. I will never support this level of low-tier quality bullshit. I have standards for writing, and unlike many others, I intend to stand by them. Before I go, however, I do want to suggest some things to you that you may enjoy that do have good writing. However, I'm not going to do the big things, the super mainstream titles that everyone knows about and everyone agrees is the best thing ever. These are the smaller stories, the ones that you may not have heard of, or have otherwise heard mentioned but never give a chance. In terms of movies, I would suggest you check out The Road, a movie about a man and his son struggling to survive in a post-apocalyptic wasteland filled with cannibals. Her, possibly the best example of a well-done romantic story done in a profound and unique and dare I say, subversive way. The Gray, a story about men stranded in the Alaskan wilderness after a plane crash, a movie of which I would love to make a video on someday because the symbolism and subtle imagery in that movie is simply superb. Atlantis, The Lost Empire, one of my favorite animated films of all time with gorgeous visuals, phenomenal voice work and music, an interesting story, and some fucking rock solid comedy. Finally, The Prestige, one of the best films I've ever seen, a movie you must watch twice because much like the film Shutter Island, so many things become totally recontextualized after the second viewing. It's a special experience about two magicians trying to out-trick one another. But I'm not done there. I have more examples from other mediums. In terms of video games, I would suggest Momodora Reverie Under the Moonlight. The fourth game in the series, but you don't need to play the others to understand it. A Souls-like game where you run around old castles fighting a variety of monsters and interacting with characters plagued by a curse that leads to some very interesting character moments. Soma, a horror game based around your choices that affect the world and characters around you in unique and profound ways, making you face serious ethical decisions that make your choices sometimes more terrifying than the monsters hunting you. Dust, an Elysian Tale, a really awesome hack and slash game made entirely by one fucking guy that tells a great mystery action adventure story with a cast of fun and memorable characters that are as funny as they are lovable. Night in the Woods, a coming of age story about a group of friends with their own histories and backstories that culminate in a very fun and unique character driven experience. There's not much to speak of in terms of gameplay, but the writing is actually great. Finally, Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl, a survival horror game that puts you in a nuclear wasteland filled with bandits, political and military factions, mutants, and even hints at the paranormal. You unravel the mystery of your character and the world in a story that focuses on exploration and speaking to a wide cast of interesting characters. Although, you're gonna want to mod this one. It's pretty badly optimized. And of course, I have some books for you to read. The first being The Silence by D. Nolan Clark, a science fiction trilogy focusing not on dudes in super powerful armor from Halo or zombie infections from The Expanse, but pilots tasked with the defense of human colonies from an encroaching alien threat. It has a lot of interesting concepts about humanity that made it really stand out to me, and I just love me some fighter pilot sci-fi books. I'm only halfway through the second book now, but I'm fucking loving it so far. Future by Dmitry Glukhovsky. You may know this as the author of the Metro books, which were later turned into video games. Taking place in the far future where aging has become a thing of the past and all human beings are immortal, the subjects of morality, family, religion, and the fast progress of society all play key roles here and make this one of the best books I've ever read. The Chaos Queen Quintet by Christopher Husberg is an example of how to take general concepts in the fantasy genre and turn them on their head, adequately subverting the expectations of the reader while still telling a story that's fairly interesting, even if the first book is a bit of a knockoff of the Bourne Identity with magic and monsters. While I generally enjoy this series, I'll tell you right off the bat, this is definitely not for everyone. It does deal with serious issues like racism, religious extremism, drug addiction, and politics. I don't know the author's personal political beliefs, nor do I really honestly give that much of a shit, so not sure if these are meant to be seen as direct allegories for the real world or not, but luckily he utilizes these concepts in a way I personally think is good. It's not Republican bad, Democrat good by any stretch. There's a lot more nuance to the race conflict in politics than what we see in our own world. I'd still highly recommend it, but just know what you're in for before you pick it up. The Winter Night Trilogy by Catherine Arden. This series takes place in medieval Russia and focuses around fantasy world monsters in a part horror, part adventure story. I've only read the first book, but I really liked it. Finally, The Wings of War by Bryce O'Connor. Though the first book could have spent more time fleshing out the characters, the world building is actually really well thought out, the action is brilliantly paced, and the enigmatic main character makes for a really entertaining read. I'll be starting the fourth book after I finish the next book of The Silent, and each entry to the series gets better and better. He's the smallest of these authors I've mentioned, being entirely self-published, but I think his work, while not being flawless by any stretch of the imagination, is really unique and good. So, support stories written by people who don't get the widespread attention of shit like Aquaman. Don't waste your time and money telling DC that this kind of garbage is okay. Tell the authors, screenwriters, and video game writers you like that they are providing the content that you want to see. Content that strives for airtight writing, compelling and interesting characters, fantastical new worlds you want to visit yourself, and stories you will remember for years to come.